Chapter 378. Give me a bottle of snow power and a pack of red 5. In the West District of Jiang City, in the Flying Dragon Internet Cafe hidden deep in the alley, Wang Pu put a 10 yuan note and his ID card on the counter. He looked around the smoke-filled room, and when he saw that his usual seat was still empty, he let out a sigh of relief and whistled at the girl at the bar counter. The girl at the counter glared at Wang Pu and threw the cigarette, drink and ID card back to him. You only have 15 yuan left in your card. Do you want to top it up? Wang Pu grabbed it and laughed. No hurry. I will use it later. There is no discount now. The girl at the counter rolled her eyes and turned her head away, ignoring him. Wang Pu didn't care. He sat down in his seat and turned on the computer skillfully. There were at least hundreds of big and small internet cafes in Jiang City. The Flying Dragon Internet Cafe was one of the most inconspicuous ones. It had a long history and backward conditions. The computers were all used for 4 or 5 years, almost to the point of obsolescence. The place was small. If he farted in his seat, half of the people in the internet cafe could smell it. Because of this, although there was a no smoking sign, no one cared about smoking. The most important thing was that the Flying Dragon Internet Cafe was very cheap. It only cost 2 yuan an hour. Moreover, there would be a charge 100 for free event from time to time. Young people like Wang Pu, who lived at the bottom of the city, could also find their own cheap happiness here. The machine started slowly. Wang Pu was not in a hurry. He put the drink aside and tore open the pack of cigarettes. Lao Wang, give me one. Suddenly, a low and hoarse voice came from the side, making people who heard it shudder. F***ck. Wang Pu, who was unprepared, was shocked. He turned his head and saw the guy next to him asking for a cigarette. Wang Pu knew this guy. Guru, are you trying to scare me to death? The Guru was definitely a legend in the Flying Dragon Internet Cafe. Everyone who came to the Internet Cafe often knew him. He was about the same age as Wang Pu. He was unkempt and skinny. He always looked like he didn't have enough sleep. There were many stories about the Almighty. The most famous one was that he once fought continuously for 7 days and 7 nights in an online game that had just been released. He didn't even sleep for a day. His boss was so scared that he almost called the police, fearing that he would suddenly die in front of the computer. However, the Almighty's vitality was even more tenacious than a cockroach's. Wang Pu still looked the same as when he first came to Flying Dragon Internet Cafe a few years ago. Other than that, the Almighty never went to work and relied on playing games to earn money for his internet and meals. Towards Wang Pu's complaints, the Almighty didn't feel guilty at all. He continued to extend his hand. Give me a cigarette. You win. Wang Pu took out half a pack of cigarettes and gave it to him. I'll give you half. I'm a good friend, right? The Almighty had played a game with Wang Pu before, so the two of them had some friendship. As for Wang Pu's generosity, the Almighty snorted disdainfully. Half a bag of Hongwu is considered loyal? Bullshit. Wang Pu was fuming. He wanted to take the cigarette back, but the Almighty had already slipped it into his pocket. He even had one in his mouth. **ck. Wang Pu retracted his hand resentfully. He held the mouse pad and opened the browser. At the same time he logged into his QQ. DDD. The QQ avatar kept jumping. Wang Pu clicked on it one by one. He blacklisted those who swindled, borrowed money, and harassed him. He replied to a few messages from his friends. Finally, he opened the group chat of Lao by Group. Lao by Group was a large group of thousands of people. The composition of the hundreds of group members was very complicated. They ranged from doctors and professors to brick-moving workers. The only thing they had in common was that, like Wang Pu, they were all lovers of online novels. And they had a long reading age. Wang Pu was 25 years old this year. He had been reading online novels for 10 years. When he was in junior high school, he began to rent pirated books. He could read a book for 50 cents for a few days. Later he found books online. It could be said that he had read countless books. For the current Wang Pu, reading online novels was the greatest joy he could obtain with the least amount of money. What he read on the internet was genuine, and he was a VIP subscriber that he could be proud of. However, most of his subscription coins were obtained through various activities on the book website, as well as the red packets sent by rich readers. It was just that recently Wang Pu found that this happiness was becoming more and more difficult to obtain. It wasn't a matter of money. He still had a lot of subscription coins in his accounts on several big websites. It was just that there were fewer and fewer books that he could read in his appetite. This was the greatest sorrow of a Lao by reader like Wang Pu. The more books he read, the higher his requirements would be. He could not accept those novels with rough writing, excessive fantasies, and serious routines. However, most of the websites were filled with such books. Wang Pu was helpless. He even thought about writing one himself. As a result, after writing thousands of words, he realized that writing a book was a very difficult thing. There were a lot of ideas in his head, but the text that came out through the keyboard was extremely awkward. He felt very embarrassed when he looked at it, so he could only give up. The problem of the lack of books couldn't be solved. Everyone, please recommend some books. It's best if it's new. I've basically read all the old books. Wang Pu shouted in the group, there's no more books to read. 10,000 tons of copper balls. Me too. I've been reading old books recently and they're all wonderful ones. What the hell are they now? 8 Wilderness Demon Slayer is not bad. I strongly recommend it. I've just read it. It's not bad in Xinxia. I'm keeping it. I'm reading Midnight Tomb Watcher. It's very scary. The group members were all talking at once, recommending more than 10 books. However, Wang Pu was very disappointed, because these books were either ones he had already read or ones he didn't like. Wang Pu liked fantasy, xinxia and historical online novels. Just as he was about to close the chat box and search on the website, a member with the ID Old Bookworm said, I'm reading The Smiling, Proud Wanderer. It's very interesting. I recommend it to everyone. He also attached an address link. Wang Pu clicked on the address and opened the new book recommended by Old Bookworm. The Smiling, Proud Wanderer? The title was not bad. At least it wasn't some demon god emperor tyrannical dragon. Hopefully there would be a surprise. There were quite a few people in the old white group, and there were many like Wang Pu who clicked on the address link. Everyone was lacking in books. Soon someone complained in the group, oh my god, Wuxia? Isn't that an antique? Only 70,000 words. How can we bear to destroy such a young seedling? It hasn't even signed a contract yet, and the numbers are too low. Is it really a good book? Old Bookworm, are you recommending yourself? Recommending myself +1. To be honest, Wang Pu also suspected that Old Bookworm was recommending himself or a friend. The book he recommended was not only not signed a contract, but also had a low word count and poor results. If it was really a good book, then wouldn't the editor of Waves Books have made a mistake? Hundreds of clicks, dozens of bookmarks on a big website like Waves Books, he really couldn't fail again. Wang Pu had been in an author's group before, so he had some understanding of the online literature circle. And this wuxia theme was really out of the mainstream. The works in Waves Books were divided into fantasy, xinxia, urban, history, online games, sports, military, science fiction, supernatural, and so on. There was also a custom genre. The so-called custom genre allowed the author to define their own works, such as fantasy, sadomasochism, superscience, and so on. Basically, they were all niche and imaginative works. The Smiling, the Proud Wanderer recommended by Old Bookworm was in the custom genre, and the author defined it as wuxia. Wuxia, in Wang Pu's impression, was really an antique novel. He vaguely remembered that when he was a child he seemed to have read a book about a sword. It seemed to be written by a Xiangjiang author. Would this kind of book be the food that Old White liked? He subconsciously gave The Smiling, the Proud Wanderer a negative score in his heart. Old Bookworm explained in the group, it's really not recommending myself. On the food you can read it yourself. Wang Pu thought that since he didn't have any books to read, it didn't matter if he contributed a few clicks to others. He would just consider it as supporting the newcomer. So he clicked to read the first chapter. Chapter 379. It was the spring season of the Southern Kingdom. The Bluestone Road stretched straight to the west gate. In front of a magnificent mansion, there was a flagpole about 20 feet high on both sides of the stone altar, with green flags fluttering at the top. In front of a magnificent mansion, there was a flagpole about 20 feet high on both sides of the stone altar, with green flags fluttering at the top. On the flag on the right, there was a majestic lion embroidered with yellow silk thread. The flag fluttered in the wind, making the lion look even more lively. Wang Pu habitually lit a cigarette and glanced at the text displayed on the screen. Unlike many web readers who were used to reading 10 lines at a glance, Wang Pu often read books in detail, especially the opening chapters of new books, which he would read very seriously. Because he believed that the beginning of a book could reflect the skill of an author. If the beginning was good enough, he would have the confidence to keep reading. If the beginning was not good enough, there was no need to waste time. This was the tragedy of Lao Bai. If he was an amateur reader, he wouldn't care at all. He could eat anything if he had a good appetite. Different from Lao Bai, who had a sense of superiority, Wang Pu wouldn't sneer at the amateur readers, because Lao Bai used to be an amateur. Instead, he envied the latter for having so many books to read. And without the support of a large number of amateur readers, web novels wouldn't have developed to such a scale today. The beginning of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer gave Wang Pu a good feeling. It didn't have the plot of destroying heaven and earth, transmigration, reincarnation, or a very traditional style. The writing was excellent, and the words could catch people's attention. The most important thing was that there were no typos. This made Wang Pu feel very comfortable and gave him a reason to continue reading. As he read deeper, Wang Pu found that the Jianghu described in the book was very fresh to him. Although there was no dynasty background, it was completely different from the empires and dynasties in the popular fantasy novels. It gave him the feeling of reading an unofficial historical novel. Unconsciously, Wang Pu was drawn in. His mood fluctuated with the experiences of the protagonist, Lin Pingji, until the appearance of Brother Linghu, in the mouth of the little nun Yi Lin. This was not the style. This very long narration vividly showed the image of a brave and resourceful chivalrous man, which was exciting and made people clap the table and applaud. It was exactly the style of the protagonist. In comparison, the previous protagonist, Lin Pingji, was a far cry. It was a big taboo for a supporting role to be more outstanding than the main character. Wang Pu couldn't help but worry. He didn't know what would happen next. However, just as he was about to reach the itch, he was shocked to find that it was gone. No more? How could it be gone? It just hadn't been updated yet. Holy sh**t. Wang Pu couldn't help but curse out loud. As a result, the cigarette in his mouth fell down along with the long ash, falling right onto his pants. Holy sh**t. If **ck me. Wang Pu patted it a few times in a flurry. Fortunately, the cigarette had already been extinguished and did not burn his pants. What are you looking at? Why are you so excited? Almighty, who was sitting next to him, peeked over and asked curiously. Wang Pu shook his pants and said with a smile, "It's a novel written by a real god. Do you want to read it?" Almighty shrugged, looking disinterested. He only liked to play games. Reading novels is so boring. Come and play fairy and devil with me. It's fun. I'll carry you. Wang Pu glanced at his screen in disdain and said, "It's this kind of scam money-free online game again. I won't fall for it. I don't have that much energy." Wang Pu had played a few online games before. They were all said to be free, but in reality, it was impossible to play without spending money. He wasn't like Almighty, who relied on playing games to earn money. Where would he have the time and energy to be tortured? Wang Pu didn't bother with Almighty anymore. He put his attention back on the new book. He left a comment in the comment section. "Good book. Work hard to update it. I'll definitely subscribe to all of it after it's published." He thought for a while, then clenched his teeth and selected a reward of 588 book coins. Although this amount of book coins wasn't much, it was really not easy for Wang Pu, a veteran reader. He came from an ordinary family. He worked in Jiangxing and had to send money back every month. Subscribing to all of the original books was the greatest support Wang Pu could give to an author. Normally he wouldn't donate much unless it was a work that he really liked. He liked the first few tens of thousands of words of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer. Other than leaving a reward, Wang Pu also went to the group to promote the book. The Smiling, Proud Wanderer recommended by Old Bookworm is really good. I personally recommend it. The replies from the group members were very quick. Give me a link. I'll read it. If I don't like it, I'll slap old Wang to death. I read it just now. It's not bad. I feel like the style is more towards physical publishing. I don't like this theme. I gave up after reading a bit. Little White is not a white. It's a bit too traditional. I don't like it either. I have high hopes for this book. The author is very capable. Recommend it too. Many people in the group had read The Smiling, Proud Wanderer because of Old Bookworm's recommendation. Some liked it, some didn't, but overall the positive comments overwhelmed the negative ones. For the veteran readers who were difficult to please, this was already very good. But Wang Pu was not satisfied. He thought this book should be strongly supported. So he went to other readers' groups and reading forums to recommend this book to other readers. The Smiling, Proud Wanderer was not good in waves. It didn't even have 60,000 to 70,000 words. The editor must have made a mistake. Wang Pu didn't want such a good book to be buried. Many capable authors gave up because of the poor performance in the first few chapters. Wang Pu didn't want to see the author named Memory of Present and Past to suffer the same fate. He even wanted to persuade the author to change to another website. If the East was not bright, the West was bright. And with Wang Pu's efforts to recommend, The data of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer in Inspur Books has increased significantly. The number of clicks, recommendations, and collections all climbed, especially the number of collections, which quickly rose from dozens to more than 200. Correspondingly, the comments in the book review section also increased. Several readers gave their support and rewards. Compared to the popular new books on the website, this result was not worth mentioning. But compared to the previous dismal results, it was undoubtedly a little better. But at this moment, Lu Qin hadn't tasted this feeling yet. He was secretly with Chen Fei to a local movie theater in Jinling to watch his first movie. The name of the movie was The Great Han Emperor. Chapter 380. Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty was a historical period drama that started shooting last year. Many top domestic stars were invited to join the cast. Lu Zhiyong was also a famous director, so it was considered an influential blockbuster. At that time, Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty was filmed in Jinling Film City. Lu Qin had just finished filming Autumn in My Heart. Under the introduction of Zhang De, the boss of Chenda Film Company, he played a small role in the film. He played a small soldier under the command of General Hua Tsubing. He only had a few lines. The film took more than a year from pre-shooting to post-production. It was released before the summer holidays mainly to avoid the competition with Hollywood blockbusters. When Emperor Wu of the Han Dynasty premiered, Lu Qin was invited to attend the ceremony. However, Lu Qin couldn't spare time to go there. Secondly, he didn't have many scenes. It was inevitable that he would feel awkward being squeezed into a group of main characters, so he politely declined. However, as it was his first film to be electrocuted, he was very willing to contribute to the box office. Even Chen Fei went with him. For a normal couple, eating, shopping, and watching a movie together was a very common way of entertainment. However, for Lu Qin and Chen Fei, it wasn't easy. Not only did they have to disguise themselves, but they also had to ask their assistant to buy the movie tickets in advance to avoid being seen by others. The two chose a cinema not far from the hotel. The screening would start at 8 p.m. They entered the cinema at 7:50 p.m. and sat down in the couple's seats in the last row. Because it was prime time and the stars involved were big names, the occupancy rate was very high, at least 90%. Chen Fei gently leaned her head on Lu Chen's shoulder and whispered, "The last time I came to the cinema to watch a movie was about 10 years ago." Lu Chen smiled and said, "If you like, I can often accompany you to watch it." Chen Fei said seriously, "Sometimes I think it's better to be an ordinary person. There's not so much right and wrong, and it's not so tiring to live. When I meet someone I like, I can be happy and be with them again." Lu Chen smiled and didn't say anything. If she could really be an ordinary person, she probably wouldn't want to. It was nothing more than an outbreak of hipsterism. Sensing Lu Chen's smile, Chen Fei pinched him and said, "When was the last time you watched a movie with your girlfriend?" This question. Lu Chen could only change the topic. "Ahem, are you thirsty? I'll open a bottle of water for you." No matter how he answered such a question, it would be wrong. He couldn't possibly lie through his teeth, right? Umph. Chen Fei snorted in dissatisfaction, but still hugged his arm tightly to his chest. After a few minutes, the movie started. Lu Zhiyong's directing skills were quite profound, especially when it came to such historical themes. He was able to handle it with ease. The scenes were grand, the props were well researched, and the special effects were top-notch in the country. If there was a flaw, it would be that the great emperor of the Han Dynasty had a common problem with many domestic blockbusters. That was, the storyline was obviously weak and there were some unreasonable aspects. When Lu Qin watched a movie now, he was completely used to watching it from a professional point of view. He even put himself in the shoes of the main character, thinking about how he would act better if he were in the main character's shoes. Of course, this wasn't a habit he originally had. Ever since he stepped into the film and television industry, Mo Ran's life memories had dominated Lu Chen's mind. In the dream world, Mo Ran was a taciturn person, but he was also a very talented actor. He liked to quietly figure out the roles in the script alone, and he also liked to watch excellent films, dramas, and novels at home and abroad, gaining the experience and knowledge he needed from them. His memories undoubtedly had a great impact on Lu Qin. When he wrote Full House of Romance, Lu Qin made major changes based on the foundation of the original work. He kept the framework of the original story, added more characters, and made up for many of the shortcomings of the original work. Now, when watching The Great Emperor of the Han Dynasty, he still thought about professional problems, all because of the subtle influence of Mo Ran's memories. Halfway through the movie, Lu Qin finally made his appearance. Last year, in order to promote The Great Emperor of the Han Dynasty, the crew of The Great Emperor of the Han Dynasty had released some highlights of the movie on their official website. Among them was a video of Lu Chen's performance. At that time, it had caused quite a stir among his fans. But at that time the scenes were still relatively crude. Without special effects and post-editing, the effect couldn't be compared to the movie that was officially released now. Lu Chen's appearance was undoubtedly very shocking. Facing the thousands of Xiongnu soldiers, he brazenly charged forward alone. He was really like a tiger and his horse was like a dragon. Coupled with the vigorous and impassioned soundtrack, it made the audience's blood boil. The reaction of the audience in the theater was a strong proof of the outstanding effect of the movie. That looks like Lu Chen, right? It's Lu Chen. This is the first time I've seen him act in a historical film. It's quite interesting. So handsome. I almost didn't recognize him. Yes. The whispers of the audience was undoubtedly the best compliment. And when Lu Chen's character started fighting with the Xiongnu generals, it was even more exciting. Every move, every strike, the sound of the spear and hammer colliding, the shouts of thousands of soldiers, the neighing of the war horses. Through the high-fidelity sound system that was set up around the theater, it was like a surging tide that slammed into the hearts of the audience. At this time no one spoke. Everyone was focused on the screen, afraid that they would miss a single scene. On the screen, Lu Chen's expression was cold, his eyes sharp, and his spear was unstoppable. From the moment he appeared to the moment he charged into the battle, Lu Chen had acted completely by himself. He did not use any stunt doubles, so the cameraman had a lot of freedom in choosing the lens. The close-ups were excellent, and the character's image was perfectly highlighted. In fact, it even surpassed Hua Zubing's earlier performance. Chen Fei's beautiful eyes sparkled as she watched. She could not help but whisper in his ear, "Hubby, you're so handsome." The beauty's voice was as sweet as orchids, and Lu Chen could not help but be moved. He held her hand. This was the first time Chen Fei had called him hubby. Although it was mushy, he liked it. It was a great sense of achievement. Unfortunately, Lu Chen himself was not handsome for more than a minute on the screen. As a minor character, his character was surrounded by the Xiongnu army and died heroically. Soon he received his bento box. The theater was filled with regret. The audience reacted strongly to his character's death. In fact, Lu Chen could only live for so long in the movies. If history was strictly followed, his character would definitely be shot into a hornet's nest on the spot. Too little. Chen Fei was still not satisfied. "I should have given you more room to perform. This character has all the potential to be unearthed." Lu Chen smiled and shook his head. When he was filming The Great Emperor of the Han Dynasty, he had just made a name for himself in the film industry. If it was not for coincidence, he would not even be a supporting character in this historical blockbuster. What was there to be picky about? Moreover, there were many characters in this blockbuster. Hua Zubing was only a supporting character. For a minor character like him, being able to show his face for more than half a minute was already a great deal of treatment. The movie continued to play. Chen Fei held Lu Chen's hand and used her finger to draw circles on his palm. "Let's go back to the hotel." Her voice was very soft and seductive. It made Lu Chen's heart itch as if there were ants crawling on it. Although he had originally planned to watch the entire movie, Lu Chen was not stupid. He immediately left the theater with Chen Fei and rushed back to the hotel for real time. The Great Emperor of the Han Dynasty had grossed more than 100 million yuan in the first 7 days. The industry estimated that the final box office of this blockbuster would be around 250 million yuan. Compared to the investment, it should not be a problem to break even. As Lu Chen's first movie, The Great Emperor of the Han Dynasty, also caused a great reaction among his fans. Many of them bought tickets to support his character. In the end, the fans realized that in this 2-hour-long movie, Lu Chen only appeared for slightly more than half a minute. This made everyone feel like they had not seen enough and that the movie was over. Therefore, many fans strongly urged Lu Chen to star in a movie in the future. Let everyone enjoy watching it. Chapter 381. The entertainment industry is a bizarre vanity fair, and people in it can never escape the word fame and fortune. It's just that there are many kinds of people in the circle. Some people, in order to pursue fame and fortune, desperately brush up their sense of existence, do all kinds of hype and publicity, and do their best to attract attention, but often have little effect or succeed for a while but not for long. There are also some people who don't make a fuss and do things down to earth, but always stand firmly in the public's sight. On June 12th, the original music chart announced the new chart for the second week of June. The title song of Chin Feier's new album Woman Flower, which had occupied the top spot for 6 consecutive weeks, was finally defeated and retreated to the 3rd place, replaced by 2 new songs. With You in a Lifetime, ranked 2nd on the original music chart. Childhood topped the list. Both songs are Lu Chen's works, so that some people jokingly say that the original music chart has become a couple's infighting chart. What makes people in the industry very speechless is that With You in a Lifetime is a 520 love song given by Lu Chen to Chin Feier, and Childhood is a new song he played and sang on the new Star show. Without any publicity and promotion, relying entirely on the recommendation and support of fans, it easily stood at the top of the domestic original music chart. How can this be tolerated? Many people really feel very unconvinced, especially the singers hovering at the bottom of the list. In their view, losing to Chin Feier's Woman Flower, an album that has sold more than 2 million, everyone is convinced, but losing to Lu Chen's playful work is nothing. Many singers have worked hard to produce their first works, made singles and albums, begged grandpa and grandma for publicity and promotion, and showed their faces everywhere, but in the end they couldn't even stand a position on the original music chart. Lu Chen's works on the original music chart is just like a game. How can they be convinced? Isn't there an original pop music writer in China who can compete with Lu Chen on an equal footing? In fact, it is fair to say that because of Lu Chen, the original power of domestic pop music has become active again since last year. It is his success that has made many star artists and entertainment agencies begin to pay attention to the value of original works, and then improve the treatment of original writers. Now Lu Chen's song is quoted at 500,000 to 700,000 yuan, and there is no market far exceeding the price of the previous top writers, raising the status of original works. With him as a benchmark, the income of domestic original writers has increased a lot, which is absolutely a good thing for the pop music world. Money is not everything, and it is absolutely impossible without money. Well-known music critic Wang Bo wrote in his blog, "The original folk style brought about by Lu Chen is undoubtedly the biggest highlight of domestic original music in the past 2 years. The campus folk songs he opened up are undoubtedly a clear stream blowing into the music world, letting us see the hope and future of the pop music world." Tien, that's right. Back to this song, Fairy Tale, which has just reached the top of the original music chart. The author thinks it is one of Lu Chen's best works. Hearing this song, I can't help but feel a little sad. I miss the past years and the ignorant childhood. As we grow up, we have to compromise with growth. The memory of the times will also cover up the past, but childhood will always remain in our hearts and indispensable. This song is to call back our memories. This song was a mature man's fantasy about his childhood. It was approachable, cute, and a little sad. It was the kind of sadness that made you smile at the reluctance to part with your childhood. The author dares to assert that the song Childhood is extremely inclusive and has almost no limitations of the times. It will be spread among everyone who has childhood in their hearts and has a childlike heart. It is destined to become a real classic. Wang Bo is not an ordinary person. In addition to his identity as a music critic, he is also a director of the Chinese Musicians Association, and the original music chart is led by the Alto Music Association. Because the news that the original music chart has changed the rules on the chart has been confirmed, there are rumors in the industry that the rules change is against Lu Chen. Wang Bo's blog post is quite thought-provoking. After this music review was published in the Waves blog, it was quickly forwarded in large numbers with thousands of comments. Lu Chen's position in the pop music world has quietly risen to a higher level. Because Wang Bo is likely to represent the official attitude, even if Lu Chen has not yet joined the Alto Music Association. Considering that this year's Asian Chinese Music Chart and China Original Music Chart have been merged and upgraded to Global Chinese Music Chart, it is even more interesting. Lu Chen will undoubtedly be a strong competitor for important awards such as Best Lyrics, Best Composition, and Best Male Singer on the Chinese Music Chart. His second TV series is also ready to meet the audience during the summer vacation. People are really looking forward to what kind of wonderful performance this talented star will perform in the second half of this year. While everyone's attention is on Lu Chen's songs and TV series, the book, The Smiling, Proud Wanderer, written by him under a pseudonym, is silently being updated on the internet. After the number of words published in the Waves book exceeded 120,000, Wang Pu has become a die-hard fan of this book. After he finishes work every day, the first thing he does when he goes to the internet cafe is to log on to Waves to read the latest chapter of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer, and share his reading experience with his book friends who also like this book. As a die-hard fan, Wang Pu wants to know the author of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer, Yi Jinggu. He hopes to add the other party's QQ message through the book review and SMS messages on the site to talk about the plot. However, Wang Pu's message has never received a response. The author is too low-key. Apart from the main text of the story, he never asks for recommendation or collection. The book review area is not managed at all, and the updates are obviously regular. The 2 chapters are updated at exactly the same time every day. Under such circumstances, Wang Pu simply created his own QQ group, The Smiling, Proud Wanderer, and pulled in all the group members in Lao Bai's group who also liked this book. Through his efforts, the data of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer has increased a lot. It has more than 10,000 clicks and more than 500 collections. The useful comments have surpassed the advertising utility, still a flop. Wang Pu is very unconvinced. He stubbornly believes that this book should be seen by more readers and not buried in so many new works. Therefore, he mobilizes the group to advertise The Smiling, Proud Wanderer. Advertising is very simple. You just need to write a few advertising words and book review in advance, and then use different IDs to go to the popular book review area, novel forum, and post bar to post. This kind of behavior is called brushing cowhide, which is what Wang Pu hates. But for The Smiling, Proud Wanderer, he is willing to put down his pride because he is a true fan of the book. Chapter 382. June 18th, 14th day of the 5th lunar month, Saturday. Chongnyo, Icho, Shashi. Suitable, marriage, sacrifice, prayer, seeking heirs, travel. Taking the latest high-speed train, Lu Qin and Qin Fei are rushed from Jinling to Hangzhou, which took them 1 hour and 05 minutes. Thanks to the world's first high-speed railway system, the distance between the 2 provincial capital cities has never been so close, and the convenience of travel was unimaginable more than a decade ago. It was Tian who came to the Hangzhou high-speed railway station to pick them up. This time the 2 of them took time out from their intense filming work to come to Hangzhou. Of course they did not come to sightsee. The first thing was that Tian's media company had been officially established. As the 2 major shareholders, Lu Qin and Qin Fei, had to come over to sign several important documents and discuss the company's future development plans and so on. The establishment of this Yedong Media Limited Liability Company originated from Lu Qin's advice, focusing on the production and promotion of variety entertainment programs. The first production project was China's Voice, proposed by Lu Qin. The second thing was that today was the wedding day of Lu Qin's college classmate Gao He and Wang Xiaoling. As early as last month, Gao He called Lu Qin to invite him to their wedding. Lu Qin and Gao He were roommates and friends. He couldn't refuse this invitation, and he had to come over no matter how busy he was. Let's go to our new company first. Tian drove a red BMW in person and said in high spirits, then we'll have lunch together. The last time Lu Qin saw Tian was at the beginning of last month. At that time, the former host of Zhidong Satellite TV was not in a very good state of mind. Her career was not going well and she had a lot of troubles. She stayed in their home in Beijing and had a tendency to be an otaku. However, after a month and a half, she seemed to have changed into a different person. She talked and laughed, her face was glowing and she looked younger and more beautiful. She came and went with confidence and more charm. This made Lu Qin secretly sigh that career could also make a woman so beautiful. Tian's new company was near Zhidong TV station, on the 15th floor of a high-rise office building. Although the area was not very large, the decoration was very stylish. At present, there were a total of more than a dozen employees. In this new company, Lu Qin and Qin Fei each invested 5 million. Although everyone had a good relationship, Tian also had to calculate the accounts clearly and let the 2 know the use of funds. So she insisted on inviting the 2 to Hangzhou for an inspection. Hello, President Tian. Seeing Tian with people, the front desk, 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 and the front desk. Then he was dumbfounded. She was stunned. Tian and year Tian and Tian of the Zhou. Year. Tian chuckled. After entering the door, she clapped her hands hard and said in a clear voice, everyone please stop your work for a while. Let me introduce the 2 directors of our company to you. The employees sitting in front of the desk stood up one after another, and the people in the office also came out. Tian said with a smile, this is Mr. Lu Qin and this is Miss Qin Fei. I don't think I need to say more about their identities. Everyone must know them. Let's applaud and welcome the 2 big star directors to visit the new company in their busy schedule. Clap, clap, clap. Warm applause exploded, and all the employees of Yedong Media showed excitement. They didn't expect that the new company they had just joined would have two real top-level directors. One was a well-known heavenly queen of the music industry, and the other was a newly rising idol artist. They were heavyweight figures wherever they went. This was Hangzhou, not the capital. Tian, the young and beautiful chairman, was so powerful that it made people look at her with admiration, and it also made them full of confidence in the future of the company. If the trust and loyalty of these new employees to the new company were originally 50, then now it had increased to 100 in an instant, directly exploding. If anyone dared to say that Yedong Media wasn't good enough, everyone would definitely beat him up. Lu Qin and Qin Fei smiled and said, "Thank you." Tian continued, "The two directors are not involved in the daily business of the company, so everyone just needs to know. Don't talk about it outside and don't post it on WeChat moments or blogs. Do you understand?" Yedong Media had just been established, and the first project hadn't even started yet. It was necessary to keep a low profile for now. In the future, when they gained a foothold in the industry, it wouldn't matter anymore. The employees replied in unison, "Understood." Someone added, "Can I get 2 autographs?" Everyone couldn't help but laugh. These employees were basically young people, and many of them had just graduated from college. They were all very courageous. Tian also laughed. "Autographs are no problem. You guys go back to work." After introducing the employees, Tian introduced a man in his 30s to Lu Qin and Qin Fei. "My senior, Xiao Haichao, used to be a program director at Hangzhou TV2, and I pulled him over to work with me." Lu Qin took the initiative to reach out to the other party. "Hello, brother Xiao." Hello. Xiao Haichao was a little bewildered and hurriedly shook Lu Qin's hand. "I know you." Qin Fei couldn't help but laugh. He felt that Tian Senior was a little funny. Xiao Haichao was tall and thin, wearing glasses and looked gentle. He was obviously the kind of honest person who was not good at communication. It was estimated that when he saw Qin Fei and Lu Qin, such a big shot in the circle, he panicked in his heart and couldn't express his meaning in his speech. Tian couldn't help but roll her eyes and said to Qin Fei, "My senior is a top student at Zhongguang Media. After graduation he entered Hangzhou TV station. After working there for 7 or 8 years, he still hasn't made any progress. He just doesn't know how to talk and flatter. All the credit has been taken by the leaders. He can't get anything, not even a formal establishment. I really couldn't stand it, so I pulled him and his wife into the company and made him the production director." Lu Qin couldn't help but look at Xiao Haichao in a different light. A graduate from Zhongguang Media who had worked at the TV station for 7 or 8 years without getting a formal establishment was either incompetent or an honest person who was bullied. Tian obviously wouldn't pull an incompetent person into a new company and entrust him with the heavy responsibility of production director. Xiao Haichao definitely had real skills. Xiao Haichao could only smile helplessly at Tian's mockery. As expected, he looked like a pushover. Tian then said to Lu Qin, "I told my senior about the idea of China's voice. He made a detailed proposal and has already sent it for copyright and related patents. Once it's approved, we'll start the production process." At the mention of China's voice, Xiao Haichao suddenly became spirited. He stared at Lu Qin and said, "Teacher Lu Qin, Tian said that this idea was provided by you. It's really amazing. I feel that once it's done, it'll definitely be a hit." Lu Qin smiled and said, "Thank you for your kind words. Let's work hard together." Chapter 383. Xiao Haichao is capable. This is the conclusion Lu Qin came to after reading the program plan he wrote. Lu Qin is not an expert in making variety shows. The program idea he provided to Tian came from the memory of the dream world. What he told the latter was the general idea and stage process of The Voice of China, mainly a framework. Lu Qin is like building a skeleton, and Xiao Haichao added flesh and blood to this skeleton, forming a complete character as long as it is produced and filmed according to the plan. Only in some details are different from what Lu Qin remembers, but this difference does not affect the program at all, and taking into account the actual situation, at least Lu Qin is impeccable. A director who can do this can't even be an official staff member in Hangzhou TV station. It's really a joke that people can't laugh even if they want to. Of course, for Yedong Media this is a good thing. With this talented person joining as the production director, Lu Qin can rest assured and let Tian do it freely, and produce the reality show that has been popular in the dream world for a while. After visiting the company, getting to know the employees and signing the documents, the lunch was set at Egret Restaurant by West Lake. Lu Qin is very familiar with Egret restaurant. He also has a VIP card. The last time Hangzhou Singing China tour, he also invited Mu Xiaochu and others to eat here. In addition to Chen Fei and the host Tian Tian, Xiao Haichao and his wife also accompanied them. Xiao Haichao's wife's name is Zhu Li. She is a high school classmate of Xiao Haichao. She has an above-average appearance and a bit shrewish personality. She also works as a temporary accountant and cashier in Yedong Media, and is in charge of the new company's financial power. When they arrived at Egret restaurant, Tian Tian took Lu Qin and Chen Fei to the reserved box. When Xiao Haichao followed, he was stopped by Zhu Li. He was stunned. What's wrong? Zhu Li simply hated her husband for not living up to her expectations. Are you stupid? Go in order. Tian Tian is the boss, and Lu Qin and Chen Fei are our guests and big stars. How can they do the work of ordering? Anyone with a little bit of insight should consciously take on this task. Xiao Haichao suddenly said, Oh, then I'll order. Zhu Li pinched her useless husband. It's better but not too much. I'll go in first. Xiao Haichao was a yes man. When he used to work at the TV station, he often went to eat and drink with his leader. After Zhu Li left, Xiao Haichao called the waiter and began to order. Hey, isn't this Xiao? However, he had just ordered 5 or 6 dishes when he suddenly heard a familiar voice beside him. An annoyingly familiar voice. Xiao Haichao turned his head and saw a fatty with an oily face standing a few steps away. He asked with a smile, What's wrong? Are you also eating here at noon? Xiao Haichao was stunned. He forced a smile and said, Director Gao. Fatty Gao was Xiao Haichao's immediate superior at the Hangzhou TV station. They were colleagues of the same rank, but Fatty Gao knew how to behave better than Xiao Haichao. He knew how to flatter his superiors, so he easily stepped on Xiao Haichao to get his position. Xiao Haichao had suffered a lot when he was working under him. How could he show a good face now? I think I saw your Xiao Li just now. But the tall fatty didn't seem to notice Xiao Haichao's expression at all. He walked over and looked at the menu in the waiter's hand. Which room are we eating in? Yo. Plum Orchid Hall. His small eyes widened as he patted Xiao Haichao's shoulder and said, Wow, you can even make a living in the Plum Orchid Hall now. No wonder people say that you've climbed up the social ladder. Xiao Haichao's resignation from the station made Fatty Gao very unhappy. This was because he had lost a target that he could exploit, and this target was very capable in his profession. Most importantly, Xiao Haichao, who had just resigned, seemed to be doing quite well. He could even bump into him at Egret restaurant. Egret restaurant's Plum Orchid Hall was a top-notch VIP hall. His private room was still a bit lacking. Xiao Haichao frowned and moved away from Fatty Gao. He continued to order the dishes from the waiter, then turned around and left. He didn't pretend to be courteous with Fatty Gao. He was honest and easy to bully, but he wasn't a coward. Moreover, he was no longer working at Hangzhou TV, so he naturally didn't need to have any scruples with Fatty Gao. He was disgusted and simply ignored him. Honest people can also get angry. Fatty Gao probably didn't expect Xiao Haichao to give him a cold shoulder. The fake smile on his face instantly froze. After a while, he snorted and turned around to return to his private room. The private room was bustling with drinks. Fatty Gao's colleagues from the station, his superiors, and a director from Zhejiang TV were present. Compared to Zhejiang TV, Hangzhou TV's rice bowl was really too small. Usually, it was not easy to get some advertisements. They could only rely on the leftovers from Zhejiang TV to fill their stomachs. Therefore, they often invited their superiors out to eat and drink with them to strengthen their relationship. Seeing that Fatty Gao came back with a very unhappy expression, his colleague asked, Old Gao, what happened? Could it be that you got scolded for not accompanying your mistress out to play today? This joke made everyone burst into laughter. Fatty Gao smiled bitterly and said, Old Zhang, please be careful with your words. It would be terrible if my old woman heard it. I bumped into Xiao Haichao and his wife outside just now. Xiao Haichao. His colleague was surprised. He also ate here? Fatty Gao said sourly. He even booked Plum Orchid Hall. Plum Orchid Hall? The few of them looked at each other. They all knew what Plum Orchid Hall represented. That was a private room that ordinary people couldn't even get. Xiao Haichao really climbed up a high branch. Fatty Gao's colleague choked for a moment, then immediately smiled and said, Since we met, let's go to Plum Orchid Hall together to have a look. Let him come over and toast to Director Chang. It's also giving him face. After all, we're colleagues. His suggestion was obviously ill-intentioned. Director Chang, who was invited to the banquet today, was a senior figure from Zhejiang TV. Unless Xiao Haichao changed his profession, as long as he was still in this circle, offending Director Chang would be equivalent to destroying his own rice bowl. If he didn't want to offend him, then obediently come over and let everyone step on him. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you found a better job. That Director Chang smiled reservedly. Fatty Gao suddenly became interested and said with a smile, "Then let's go over together and call Xiao Haichao over. He's really lucky today. At least he has to drink 3 cups." Therefore, the two of them left their private room and ran excitedly to Plum Orchid Hall. Fatty Gao didn't wait for the waiter at the door to do anything. He went forward and pushed open the door of the private room. He laughed loudly and said, "Little Xiao, who are you entertaining here? Our Director Chang wants to see you." Chapter 384. As colleagues for many years, Fatty Gao never put Xiao Haichao in his eyes. In his opinion, Xiao Haichao was nothing more than a stupid graduate of a famous university who didn't understand the ways of the world and always had some ridiculous ideas. He would never be able to get along in this society. Therefore, Fatty Gao had always felt comfortable stepping on Xiao Haichao. However, seeing Xiao Haichao at the Egret restaurant today, Fatty Gao couldn't help but feel sour in his heart. He speculated that after Xiao Haichao resigned, he must have gotten a good position in a good company. Otherwise, how could he get a position in Plum Orchid Hall? No matter how much he looked down on Xiao Haichao's professional ability was recognized. Now that he had found a good job with a high salary, Fatty Gao felt warm when he thought about it, so he wanted to give him some gambling. It was best to make Xiao Haichao lose face in front of his new boss, so that Fatty Gao could feel comfortable. The most important thing was that Fatty Gao was backed by Director Chang of Zhujiang TV, so he was unscrupulous. Breaking into Plum Orchid Hall, he saw Xiao Haichao and Zhu Li at a glance, and a smug smile appeared on his face. His mother, Xiao Haichao's luck with women was not shallow. His wife was so beautiful, but compared with the one next to him, it was obviously a lot worse. This stunning beauty seemed very familiar. Fatty Gao's expression suddenly froze. And his colleagues' very rude behavior inevitably attracted the attention of everyone present. Seeing this guy, Xiao Haichao couldn't help but be angry and immediately stood up. Sitting in the main seat, Tian frowned and asked unhappily, "What are you doing?" Her dissatisfied scolding brought the tall fatty back to his senses, and he instinctively looked at her. The tall fatty's jaw almost dropped to the ground. Tian. Of course, Fatty Gao knew this former beautiful host of Zhidong TV station. If she was just an ordinary host, or if she had already left, Fatty Gao certainly wouldn't care. But not long ago he learned from others that Tian's family background was very great, and that she was a person who must not be easily offended. He never expected that Xiao Haichao would climb up to Tian. Only then did the tall fatty realize that the beautiful woman he found familiar was actually Qin Feier, and the person sitting between Qin Feier and Tian was none other than Lu Qin. When did these two masters come to Hangzhou? The tall fatty was dumbfounded. The colleague who came in with Fatty Gao was cunning. Seeing that the situation was not good, he immediately left the private room and threw the blame to Fatty Gao. What kind of joke was this? Xiao Haichao was eating with Tian, Qin Feier, and Lu Qin. They still wanted to make Xiao Haichao lose face. They were simply asking for a slap. Tian alone could easily take care of the few of them. As for Qin Feier and Lu Qin, they were big celebrities that even Zhujiang Television wanted to curry favor with. The new drama that the two of them were working on, full of romance, was a project that Zhujiang Television had spent a lot of effort to obtain. If he didn't run, was he going to embarrass himself? Zhu Li sneered, "Aya, isn't this Director Gao? Did you drink too much and come to the wrong door?" She hated Xiao Haichao's former boss very much. When Xiao Haichao left Hangzhou Television to join Yedong Media, she was 100% in favor of it. One of the reasons was to disgust Fatty Gao. Now that Fatty Gao asked for it, she slapped him in the face without hesitation. Fatty Gao, who was standing at the door, was so embarrassed that his face turned purple. He wanted to find a hole to hide in. Tian didn't know Fatty Gao, but she knew him, so she understood Zhu Li's sarcasm. Tian waved her hand without hesitation. "What, Director Gao? Get out." "Waiter," she said to the waiter, "be careful. Don't let anyone come in and disturb us." The waiter was actually also wronged. He opened the door and said to Fatty Gao with a sullen face, "Sir." Fatty Gao was extremely embarrassed. He probably had never been so embarrassed in his life. He quickly turned around and left. If he stayed any longer, his face would be shaved off. Fatty Gao's colleague returned to his private room first with an embarrassed look on his face. A deputy director of Hangzhou Television asked curiously, Old Zhang, why are you back? Where is Director Gao? Old Zhang said with a wry smile, don't mention it. We wanted to find Xiao Haichao, but Tian Tian, Chen Fei and Lu Chen were sitting in the Plum Orchid Hall, so I came back to report to the leader first. Tian Tian, Chen Fei and Lu Chen? Several leaders looked at each other. Director Chang, who had always been very reserved, was even more shocked. Tian Tian is accompanying these two in the Plum Orchid Hall? Then I have to go over. He was very clear about the weight of these three people, especially Tian Tian. He was even a little nervous. That Director Gao went there under his banner. Maybe he had offended him. Director Chang was not afraid of what Tian Tian would do to him. He was also a person with a background. However, if he inexplicably offended these people, a few words from others could put him in a passive position. The deputy director of Hangzhou Television said resolutely, I'll go with you. So the two leaders left the box together. On the corridor to the Plum Orchid Hall, the two bumped into the tall fatty with a resentful look on his face. Director Chang directly ignored him as if he was air, while the deputy director of Hangzhou Television glanced at him coldly. The tall fatty's unspoken greeting was stuck in his throat, and he was sweating. He originally wanted to step on people, but as a result, he sprained his foot. He wanted to die. Hello, who are you looking for? Director Chang and the deputy director came to the Plum Orchid Hall and were stopped by the waitress who had just learned her lesson. Her eyes were full of vigilance. The two looked at each other and knew that it must be the tall fatty who caused the trouble. The deputy director of Hangzhou Television scolded the other party half to death in his heart, but on the surface he was still polite. Please say that Director Chang Yiming of our Zhidong TV station wants to see Miss Tian. The waitress of the Plum Orchid Hall was used to seeing leaders. She didn't feel that the director of Zhejiang Television was very powerful, but she still went in to inform Tian Tian and asked if they could let the guests in. After getting permission, Director Chang and the deputy director of Hangzhou Television were able to enter the box. Brother Chang, long time no see. Tian Tian knew Director Chang. She got up and greeted him with a smile and no longer acted like a young lady. Although her family background was extraordinary, since she had opened a media company, she would inevitably have to deal with Zhejiang Television in the future. She naturally had to consolidate her relationship with the acquaintances in the old company. More friends, more roads, more enemies, more walls. Director Chang and Director Gao were two completely different things. Director Chang laughed and said, Tian Tian is getting more and more beautiful? I heard that you have your own company now? Tian Tian said with a smile, I'm just making a living. I'll have to rely on Brother Chang to take care of me in the future. Let me introduce you. This is Lu Chen. In fact, there was no need for her to introduce them. How could Director Chang not recognize Lu Chen and Chen Fei? He said that he had heard a lot about them, but he couldn't help but marvel in his heart. The people sitting at this table were either young talents or dragons and phoenixes, which made him feel too old. Chapter 385. Director Chang sat in the Plum Orchid Hall for 4 or 5 minutes, drank a few glasses of wine and went back. The main purpose of his coming here was to clear up misunderstandings, get to know the two current hot stars in the entertainment industry, and talk about the shooting process of Full of Romance. Zhidong Satellite TV has obtained the premiere rights of this TV series. With the advent of the summer vacation, large-scale publicity activities are about to be launched. Zhidong Satellite TV has high hopes for the ratings, and even the advertising and investment plan has been made in advance. Director Chang knows this very well, so he respects Lu Chen and Chen Fei very much, not only because of their status in the circle, but more importantly, the cooperation between Zhidong Television and the two studios involves huge interests. As soon as Director Chang left, Lu Chen's cell phone rang. It was Gao He who called Lu Chen. Third brother, have you arrived in Hangzhou? Although Lu Chen is now a famous idol artist all over the country, in Gao He's eyes, he is still third brother in room 405 of Jianghai University. Lu Chen also hopes so. He smiled and said, I'm already here. I'm eating here with Bai Lu. What about you? Cough. Gao He had a lot of bitterness to say. Fourth brother and I and a group of friends are at Xiaoling's house. We were blocked outside the door and not allowed to enter. Those bridesmaids are going to play us to death. Ah. Lu Chen laughed. Of course, picking up the bride has to go through 3 stages. Do you want me to come and help? Gao He praised. Of course, it's best if you can come and help. Then you eat quickly. I'll ask fourth brother to drive over to pick you up. With the friendship between the two, saying polite words would be estranged. Of course, Lu Chen had no objection. Let fourth brother call me when he arrives. I'll come out to find him. Gao He, okay. After hanging up the phone, Tian Tian, who was sitting next to him, asked curiously, your friend is getting married today? Lu Qin nodded and said, yes, so I'll leave Fei to you today. Tian Tian pursed her lips and said with a smile, are you going to hide Sister Fei like this and not take her to the wedding? Of course, this little trick of sowing discord was not difficult for Lu Qin. He smiled and said, I'll take her with me next time I get married. In fact, it was mainly because Qin Fei's identity was too special. If he brought her to the wedding banquet, he would be suspected of ruining it. He couldn't let his brother's wedding banquet become his girlfriend's home court, right? Lu Qin told Qin Fei that he would treat the bride and groom to another meal tomorrow. This way it would be the best of both worlds. Tian Tian was speechless. Qin Fei hugged her and laughed, I can't be bothered with him. Let's enjoy our world together. Tian Tian sighed. Seeing you two together makes me want to fall in love. Qin Fei said, can I introduce a boyfriend to you? Tian Tian pursed her lips. Forget it. I'm focusing on my career now. Men are just fleeting clouds. We'll talk about it later. The two of them talked and laughed and the atmosphere was harmonious. After about half an hour, Lao Si called. Lu Qin shook his mobile phone at Qin Fei and said, I'm leaving first. You can eat with everyone. Qin Fei nodded. Be careful. Lu Qin said, got it, dear? And Tian Tian shrank her shoulders. It's so corny. Lu Qin laughed, said goodbye to Xiao Haiqiao and his wife and left the room. Outside the egret restaurant, Lu Qin quickly found Lao Si's car. Lao Si, you're rich. Sitting in the car, Lu Qin looked at the brand new interior in surprise. You're driving a Mercedes-Benz. Lao Si Zhou was a native of Hangzhou. He was thin and unattractive. He directly gave Lu Qin a contemptuous look. Big star, don't mock me. This Mercedes-Benz is borrowed as a wedding car. I'm just a broken driver. Lu Qin laughed and gave him a punch. Don't talk nonsense, drive. Zhou protrude. On the way to the bride's house, Lu Qin chatted with Zhou and learned about the recent situation of a group of brothers and friends. After graduation, Gao He stayed in Hangzhou and didn't return to his hometown. He even gave up the job he had found. He was currently working at a local game company with Shaoling. Although they could not afford a house, they were very happy together. Marrying at such an early age was also a result of careful consideration. It was not the result of an impulsive decision. Zhou said, sister-in-law's family is very opposed, mainly because they don't have a house, so they just get the certificate directly. More than opposition, at the beginning Wang Xiaoling's parents didn't agree with the two at all and almost broke off their relationship with Wang Xiaoling. If you want the two to agree, first of all, Gao He has to buy a suite in Hangzhou. The problem is that the current house price in Hangzhou is not affordable by young people. In the end, Wang Xiaoling's determination and Gao He's sincerity played a role. The story in the middle is enough to be written into a novel. Lu Qin nodded. It was really not easy for Gao He and Wang Xiaoling to finally come together. 99% of the long-distance relationships in college have no result. Fortunately, both of them have enough courage to persist to the end. After graduation, old K1 Hongji went to Huhai first. He originally worked with his senior brother, but it didn't take long for him to resign and go south to work in an internet company. Because he was too busy with work, he couldn't come to Gao He's wedding. As for Zhou himself, he works in the game department of Fading Company. Fading Company is one of the top 3 internet companies in China. The famous Yibao and Ufubao are under its banner. In addition, the game department is very strong. It has self-produced and acted as an agent for many popular online games. The key is that Fading Company is a local company in Hangzhou, and the treatment has always been one of the best in the industry. Therefore, among the 4 brothers in the dormitory except for Lu Qin, Zhou is the best. Everyone has their own opportunities. In general, everyone is very good. It's a pity that they can't all reunite this time. Zhou gossiped. Old 3, are you and Qin Fei really planning to get married? His face was full of envy. Qin Fei is a real goddess. Who would have thought that the guy who slept in the same room with him could fall in love with the goddess? He is simply a big winner in life. Lu Qin smiled and said, I'm not thinking about marriage at the moment. Do you have a girlfriend now? Zhou said with a bitter face, I was pulled by my mother several times. It's not that I don't like her, but she doesn't like me. In short, I don't like her. I don't have any ideas. Let's leave it to fate. Speaking of which, among the 4 brothers in the dormitory, Zhou has the least luck with women. In 4 years of college he was the only one who didn't fall in love. The most difficult time was when the other three were in pairs and he was still alone. Zhou Rui was very open-minded and he could enjoy playing games. Chatting all the way, the two came to the community where Wang Xiaoling lived. Chapter 386. Wang Xiaoling's home is in the Old City area in the southeast of Hangzhou. The community here was basically built in the 80s or 90s. Most of them belonged to the staff dormitories of local state-owned enterprises. Now the environmental conditions are relatively backward. The people's call for demolition is growing, and it is expected that the transformation of the old city will be completed within a few years. But even if the demolition is replaced with a new house, Gao He and Wang Xiaoling will not be able to touch the light, because Wang Xiaoling still has two younger twin brothers. It is precisely because the living conditions are very poor that the family will oppose the relationship between the two. They can't rent a house for a lifetime, can they? What about having children in the future? The road in the old community is narrow. Zhou Rui's car was parked on the road outside. There were already 3 wedding cars waiting there, suffering in the hot sun, and there were a lot of colorful debris scattered on the ground. Zhou Rui was very helpless. None of Wang Xiaoling's relatives and sisters are good people. Our group of brothers have sent out thousands of red envelopes to the best man, but they haven't even passed the first gate. I don't know how they are now. The Wang family was not very satisfied with this marriage. Wang Xiaoling is a native of Hangzhou. If Gao He, this outsider, wants to marry her, it is inevitable that he will pass 3 trials. Even Wang Xiaoling herself can't stop the bridesmaid sisters from making things difficult at this time, because according to the customs, this is regarded as a show of strength to the groom, so that she will have authority in the family after she marries. Things that are too easy to get are always not cherished. Zhou Rui is also a native of Hangzhou. Of course he knows the knack. In order to complete the task, he can only use Lu Chen as a magic weapon. Third brother, this time it's up to you. Lu Chen is very disapproving of this custom, but today is a big day. He can't tell his brothers to withdraw and go to the street to catch another bride, so he nodded and said, "Then I will try." Here. Zhou Rui picked up a big bag from the back seat and gave it to Lu Chen. Lu Chen said, "What is this?" Zhou Rui smiled and said, "Best man clothes. I specially rented it for you. Hurry up and put it on." Lu Chen was convinced and changed his clothes in the car. After Lu Chen changed his clothes, the two got out of the car. Under Zhou Rui's guidance, they came to the 5th floor of an old building. There were a lot of people in the corridor. Most of them should be the neighbors who were watching the fun. In front of the door there were 4 or 5 guys in suits and leather shoes. The tall and strong groom Gao He was particularly eye-catching. He had a helpless look on his face. The neighbors were all pointing and gossiping, some of them gloating and muttering. It's been 2 hours and they still haven't picked her up. Is the Wang family so reluctant to part with their daughter? Since they've already gotten their marriage certificate, they still have to get married. However, they still have to vent their anger. That's right, that's right. We can't let our daughter go out without giving enough red packets. In my opinion, make way, everyone please make way. Zhou Rui shouted, "Boss, Lao San is here." Old third. Gao He was like a suffering disaster victim who met a big savior. "I'm waiting for you." Seeing him so excited, everyone's gaze involuntarily fell on Lu Chen. This young man is very handsome, even more handsome than the groom. Yes, he looks familiar, as if I've seen him somewhere. Go and ask if he has a partner, he. Lu Chen, he is Lu Chen. Who is Lu Chen? The one who plays Yin Juanxi, he is a big star. Superstar, are you for real? Lu Chen didn't wear sunglasses after changing into his best man suit. His appearance rate in the media is quite high now, so he was quickly recognized and immediately caused an uproar. No one expected that the new son-in-law of the Wang family had a big star friend who came to be the best man in person. Everyone consciously made way and some people took out their mobile phones to take photos. Thank you. Lu Chen politely thanked the person who gave way to him, and then went over and gave Gao He a solid hug. Boss, congratulations. Gao He was so excited. Lao San. No matter what Lu Chen's current identity is, the friendship between the two has not changed. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Are you still blocking the door? I'll talk to the people inside and see if they can give me some face." After 3 passes, the door is the first pass, the living room is the second, and the bride's bedroom is the third. Generally speaking, the beginning and the end are the hardest to pass. It is normal for them to spend most of the day if they encounter a difficult one. Lu Chen walked to the door and asked through the anti-theft fence, "Sisters, can you open the door?" Wang Xiaoling's relatives and sisters were guarding the door. They all heard the movement outside just now, but they didn't understand what was going on until Lu Qin appeared. Ah! Someone immediately screamed, "It's really Lu Qin Yin Juanxi." The inside suddenly exploded, and one of the girls immediately unlocked the door. "Come in." Lu Qin turned to Gao He and made a gesture of victory. Gao He gave him a thumbs up. A handsome man is already powerful. A big star handsome man is simply a human-shaped nuclear bomb. It would be strange if these little sisters can bear it. There is no need to take out a red envelope to blow open the originally unbreakable door. As soon as the door opened, the groomsmen surrounded the bridegroom and rushed in. The girls inside were so excited that their faces were red. Some of them came over boldly with bright eyes, and some of them were shy and evasive. They wanted to be close but didn't dare to be close, which made several groomsmen who had just suffered secretly despise them. The first pass was broken and the second pass was very easy. Gao He gave the red envelopes that Wang Xiaoling's elders had already prepared and went there. As for the last pass, which was originally a big test, it doesn't exist at all because all the bridesmaids in the bedroom ran out to see Lu Qin, took photos and asked for autographs, and left the bride inside without any spirit of loyalty. For them, it may be the only time in their life that they can see a big star as a groomsman. Lu Qin smiled and satisfied the bridesmaid's request. Gao He took the opportunity to run to the bedroom and carry the bride out. Pick up the bride. Only to hear a bang sound, countless ribbons were hit on the ceiling and fell down one after another. Gao He strode out of the house with the bride in his arms and carried her all the way to the wedding car under the blessings of everyone. Then the bride and groom as well as the bridesmaids and groomsmen took the wedding car to the hotel. Because Gao He and Wang Xiaoling currently live in a rented house, their wedding night was arranged in the hotel where the wedding banquet was booked, and the hotel room was used as a temporary new house. After the two got married in Hangzhou, they had to go to Gao He's home in Jiqing to have another wedding. After a lively toss, there were finally no accidents. They settled down in the hotel in 2s and 3s, and then waited for the wedding banquet to begin in the evening. Lu Qin was able to talk to the bride and groom alone. Chapter 387. Lu Qin, I really want to thank you this time. Wang Xiaoling's eyes were bright and she sincerely said to Lu Qin, I didn't expect you to come. When she was at home, she was guarded by the bridesmaids in the bedroom, and Gao He was not allowed to enter outside. She was actually very anxious in her heart, for fear that Gao He couldn't help but lose his temper and make both sides unable to step down. It's not uncommon to get into trouble because of picking up the bride. There are even cases where they want a divorce on the spot. Fortunately, Lu Qin was like a divine soldier and heavenly general, and easily solved her relatives and sisters, so that she could smoothly complete this important step in her life, and naturally she was very grateful in her heart. Lu Qin said with a smile, Sister-in-law, you're being too polite. What kind of friendship do I have with the eldest brother? Gao He held Wang Xiaoling's hand and smiled honestly. Wang Xiaoling grinned and said, Anyway, thank you. I heard that your girlfriend Qin Fei'er is also here? Lu Qin nodded, bring her to meet the bride tomorrow. Wang Xiaoling was delighted, that's great, I'm her fan. Lu Qin asked Gao He, Boss, how is your work now? Before Gao He graduated, he had already talked about a job in his hometown of Ji City, but in the end he chose to stay in Hangzhou for the sake of love. Zhou Rui said that he and Wang Xiaoling worked in the same game company. Zhou Rui's words were a bit vague. Lu Qin thought that this job was estimated to be ordinary, and it certainly couldn't be compared with the fading company where Old Four worked. So he asked with great concern. Gao He didn't hide it. The company he and Wang Xiaoling worked in was not big. It was a game production company that was established the year before last. It was mainly engaged in the production of web-based games and mobile games. At present, it has produced 2 small games that were not very popular. The salary is enough to live on, Gao He said, a small company also has its advantages. At least I can get in touch with more things. I still focus on learning and exercising. I have accumulated enough experience and I can change jobs or work on my own in the future. He added, mobile games are really popular now. A small game can make millions every month. Of course, the competition is fierce. Gao He also has an idea. He can't let Wang Xiaoling suffer with him all the time. The housing price in Hangzhou is so expensive. He can't afford to buy a house with his current salary. If he has a chance, he still wants to start his own business. Although the risk of starting a business was great, without risk, how could there be any substantial gains? Gao He joked to Lu Qin, if I make my own mobile games in the future, I will definitely ask you to endorse them. You have to give me a big discount, haha. Smartphones had already entered a period of rapid development, and mobile games had also flourished. The scale of the market continued to expand, reaching a very shocking level. It was common for celebrities to endorse mobile games. Lu Chen had also received endorsement offers from several companies, but he had turned them all down, not because the price was low but because the quality was not high enough. But now he was thinking about something else. Lu Chen studied computer applications in college. Of course, he understood the trend of smart mobile phones and entertainment. He knew that creativity was the most important thing in today's mobile games, apart from the quality of production. A mobile game with excellent creativity, even if it's just a simple 2D picture, can still be very popular, while a 3D mobile game with huge investment and exquisite production can be found everywhere. In Lu Chen's dream world, there are also many classic games, including many popular mobile games, which are like treasures waiting to be excavated. If he hadn't embarked on the current road, he would have worked in a game company to accumulate experience and original capital, and then come out to start his own business. With these creative wealth in the dream world, he believed that he could also do a real career. Lu Chen thought about it and said, "Boss, you can come out after this year. I will invest in mobile games for you." Gao He was stunned. "Third brother, I'm kidding?" He doesn't doubt Lu Chen's financial resources, but he has no confidence in his own ability. After all, he hasn't been in this industry for a long time. It's no problem to do his own thing, but if he opens an independent company to run a project, it's a completely different matter. Lu Chen may not care about the failure of his investment, but how can he live with it in his heart? Lu Chen shook his head and said, "I'm not kidding. I really have such a plan. You know that I can't run a game production company by myself. If I let you do it, I can rest assured." Lu Chen thought about it. Instead of benefiting others, it's better to benefit Gao He. He also laid out for his own big IP plan in advance. One must know that the interests involved in the game copyright are very huge. At present, in order to gain a foothold, Lu Chen is making contacts everywhere to share benefits, but the core interests of the big IP plan must always be firmly in his own hands. For example, he is currently updating and publishing The Smiling, Proud Wanderer in Waves Literature. If the book can sell well in the future and eventually form a high-quality IP, then film and TV adaptation is inevitable, and gamification is indispensable. Instead of selling the relevant copyrights at once, why not make full use of the copyrights to seek greater benefits? Lu Chen doesn't have the energy to do such a thing himself, but he can invest and acquire related companies, and eventually build an entertainment empire. This is Lu Chen's ultimate ambition to become a perfect star. Gao He still wanted to say something, but he was secretly stepped on by Wang Xiaoling. The bride stared at the groom with resentful eyes. "Are you stupid? You don't cherish such a good opportunity in front of you. Do you really think that you can make a career by yourself in the future? It's not a shameful thing to rely on brothers, friends and connections to help. As long as you work hard and are worthy of Lu Chen's investment and support, you will have a clear conscience." Gao He was ashamed. "Then I'll think about it." His head was apaced, he was happy and frightened, a typical technical otaku mentality. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Don't think about it today. Your task today is to be the most competent groom." Gao He nodded. Time passed quickly and in the blink of an eye, it was sunset and dusk. Gao He and Wang Xiaoling's wedding banquet was on the second floor of the hotel. The two newlyweds, accompanied by the best men and bridesmaids, went to the entrance of the hotel to welcome the guests. Lu Chen did not follow them because of his special identity. He sat in the seat of the host and still became the focus of attention of the audience. And the ones who felt the most glory on their faces were probably Wang Xiaoling's parents and family. Gao He's father, Taishan Taishui, was originally firmly opposed to the relationship between the two. He didn't want his beautiful daughter to be with a foreigner who had no money and no power. In the last year he could only see her a few times unless he bought a house in Hangzhou. However, Wang Xiaoling's determination was too great. She directly pulled out the marriage certificate. Wang Xiaoling's parents had no choice but to recognize it. Otherwise, not only would they lose their daughter, but they would also be laughed at by their relatives and friends. Of course, it was certainly impossible to expect the two to happily organize the wedding. However, they never thought that Lu Chen, a big star, would actually come to be Gao He's best man and personally came to pick up the bride at home, which made old Wang's family instantly become the object of hot discussion among the neighbors. That was simply too much face. Wang Xiaoling's parents had heard from Wang Xiaoling that there was a very great person among her classmates and friends. They really didn't know that Lu Chen and Gao He had such a good relationship. Why did the two of them become the villains who broke up the lovers? If Lu Chen casually helped him, Gao He would probably be able to mix with the wind and water, right? No wonder the two of them were so unscrupulous. Just now, the general manager of the hotel came to the scene and respectfully asked Lu Chen to take a photo and leave a message. Then Lu Chen said a few words, and this wedding banquet, which cost a lot, was given a big discount, at least saving them tens of thousands of yuan. In fact, in the final analysis, Wang Xiaoling's parents didn't want their precious daughter to suffer with others. Since Gao He has such a good friend, it will undoubtedly make them feel a lot more at ease. They were also glad that they didn't make the wedding banquet very low level and invited the wedding MC to preside over the ceremony. Otherwise, they would really lose face in front of their relatives and friends. As time went by, almost all the guests who came to the wedding banquet arrived. The bride and groom returned to the hall again, and the wedding ceremony officially began. Purple swallows like to soar on the ecliptic day, the mandarin ducks are a beautiful couple, the red plum blossoms spit out fragrance and become a couple forever. Today is June 18, 2016 AD. In this joyous, vibrant and auspicious day, we meet at the wedding banquet and get together to celebrate the wedding of Mr. Gao He and Miss Wang Xiaoling. The music of the wedding will sound, the hearts of the lovers will collide here with the most brilliant sparks, and the newlyweds will walk into the sacred palace hand in hand. In the passionate recitation of the wedding MC, the wedding march sounded, filling the entire hall with a joyful atmosphere. The well-dressed newlyweds grandly appeared on the stage. Wang Xiaoling, who was wearing a white wedding dress, smiled and was particularly happy. She had never been as beautiful as she was at this moment, and Gao He also looked confident and energetic. The newlyweds firmly attracted the attention of all the people present, and even Lu Chen had to retreat to a supporting role. 100 years of cultivation cross the same boat, and 1,000 years of cultivation sleep together. Life is a flower and love is the honey of the flower. When love is ripe, men and women become husband and wife through legal means, the most moving scene in everyone's life will begin. Here we congratulate the two of you for having two loyal hearts, having 100 years of hair and living in spring and autumn. We sincerely wish the two newlyweds 100 years of marriage and a long life together. Let's congratulate the two of them on their happy marriage with warm applause. The applause exploded in the banquet hall, and all the relatives and friends sent their most sincere blessings. Wang Xiaoling was so excited that tears overflowed from the corners of her eyes. And this scene gave Lu Chen a wonderful feeling in his heart. Happiness, in fact, is so simple. Chapter 388. The care of the leaders, the affection of friends, the beautiful flowers, the intoxicating wine, the smiling faces, the blessings, all express a common wish to the newlyweds. We sincerely wish the lovers a happy life, we sincerely wish the good people a safe life, we eagerly call for the spring of love, we sincerely pray for a better tomorrow. Thanking relatives and friends, kneeling to their parents, and the husband and wife made vows. When this simple and grand wedding ceremony was coming to an end, the wedding MC led the guests to send their final blessings to the newlyweds, and also pushed the wedding atmosphere to the climax. At this time, the wedding MC should have announced that everyone could start eating, and there would be a game lottery or something, but she suddenly changed the subject and said, "Before the banquet officially begins, there is a very special guest who has a few words to say to the bride and groom. This distinguished guest is a good friend of the groom, and I think everyone must know him. He is..." The voice of the wedding MC suddenly rose by an octave and it was heartbreaking. "Mr. Lu Chen. Please welcome Mr. Lu Chen." While the warm applause sounded again, and many guests stood up and looked in the direction of the main wedding table. Many guests already know that Gao He and Wang Xiaoling's wedding has invited the big star Lu Chen to attend, and this big star is a good friend of the groom. If it weren't for the wedding scene, I am afraid that many people would have rushed to take a picture with Lu Chen and ask for an autograph. Now hearing that Lu Chen was going to appear, all the guests' attention was attracted. Even the waiters present. Under the gaze of countless people, Lu Chen calmly walked onto the stage of the banquet hall. He took the microphone from the hand of the wedding MC and said with a smile, "Hello, everyone, I am Lu Chen. I'm also a classmate and good friend of the bride and groom. On this happy day, I am here to send the most sincere blessings to the two newlyweds. I wish them 100 years of happiness and an early birth of children." Everyone laughed and clapped and some people whistled. Even more people raised their phones up high to capture Lu Chen in the camera. They filmed or videotaped him and then posted it on their blogs or WeChat moments. Gao He, who had just returned to the wedding seat, stood up again and cupped his fist to thank Lu Chen. "Thanks, brother." Lu Chen waved at him and continued, "In addition, I also want to give them a special gift, which is a song I wrote for today's special day. Lu Chen was going to sing for the bride and groom here. Everyone immediately became excited. Their palms clapped loudly and cheers rose and fell. Usually, if one wanted to listen to a celebrity like Lu Chen live, they would have to pay at least a few hundred yuan, not to mention being so close to him. It was really an opportunity that one could not ask for even if one wished for it. Especially some young girls, they were so excited that their faces were flushed. Therefore, even though the waiters had already started serving hot dishes, not many people cared about eating and drinking, even though most of them were starving. Lu Chen took the microphone and sat in front of the piano placed on the right side of the performance stage in the banquet hall. This piano is an ordinary joint venture brand, and it is not very well maintained, but it is more than enough for an impromptu singing accompaniment. He first inserted the microphone into the shelf placed on the piano, then took out his mobile phone and opened it, placed it horizontally in front of the microphone stand, and sent a video call request to Qin Fei. Qin Fei quickly connected, and the screen showed that she was at Tian's house. "Hey, are you looking for me?" Lu Chen said. "Yes, I'm at the wedding. I'm going to sing a song. Let's listen to it together." "I want to listen too." Tian's head appeared in the video camera, and she looked excited. "It's so lively over there." Lu Chen smiled and said, "Let's listen together." He said into the microphone, "The name of this song is For You." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Chen skillfully pressed the black and white keys to play the prelude. With the sound of the zither, his expression became focused and serious, and a faint smile appeared on his face. This song was for the bride and groom. You will be your bridegroom. Henceforth he will be your companion for life. Everything about him will be closely related to you. Fortune and misfortune must be born together. She shall be thy bride, she was entrusted to you with all her heart. Thou shalt double the care of thy life, whether it is pain or joy, we must share it together. It must be a special fate. Only then could they become a family along the way. How much he loves you, you should pay him back a little more. The possibility of finding happiness. As Lu Chen sang, his bright eyes slowly swept over the faces of the bride and groom. This song, For You, is undoubtedly a work that is very suitable for singing at weddings. The melody is beautiful, the lyrics are moving with warm blessings and prayers, which makes people feel good when they listen to it. Although it was an impromptu singing, Lu Chen still integrated real emotions into this song. Of course, he sang it for the bride and groom, but wasn't he also singing it for himself and his beloved? Part 2. From now on, we are no longer alone, you have to think about us all the time. How much you give, love is a little more complete. It must be a special fate. The banquet hall became very quiet. There was no noise, and even the waiters who served the dishes slowed down. On this day here, it was their luck to hear such a song. Wang Xiaoling has been in tears. She and Gao He fell in love in college and had a sincere love. This relationship did not fall into a routine separation because of graduation. The most important thing was her persistence and efforts. She believes in love and is willing to make sacrifices for love. Today she is frightened and sad but also happy and joyful. Lu Chen's song easily evoked her heart and made her shed tears that she didn't know whether they were sour or sweet. Sparkling tears washed away her makeup until a big warm hand held her hand tightly. Wang Xiaoling raised her head and saw Gao He's firm look, and her fluttering heart suddenly fell to the ground. Very steady. The newlyweds snuggled up to each other and quietly listened to the song from Lu Chen that represented blessings. Today is a special day, and this special gift, the two of them will never forget it in their lives. At the other end of the phone, Qin Fei stared at Lu Chen on the screen and listened. How lucky she was. Note, For You lyrics, 11 Lang/composer, Zhang Yu. Chapter 389. May all the lovers in the world get married. This is Lu Chen's new blog post in the Waves blog that night, congratulating his college friends Gao He and Wang Xiaoling on their marriage and wishing the new couple happiness forever. There is also a video attached to the blog post, which is a clip of him singing For You at the wedding. This 5-minute video was shot by Zhou Rue, and it is very well shot. For Lu Chen's fans, especially his fans, it is undoubtedly a very happy thing to be able to hear his new songs from time to time, and it is such a warm work. It's good. I want to get married after listening to it. I have a house and a car and I'm just missing a bride. Alas, the single dog has been abused again, sad. Haha, when my girlfriend and I get married, we must play this song at the wedding ceremony. I just want to know, when will my Chen and my Fei get married? Same question. Seeing these comments, Lu Chen couldn't help but ask Chen Fei, who was leaning against him, "My Fei, when are we getting married?" Chen Fei, giggled. She blinked charmingly, drew circles on Lu Chen's chest with her long white fingers and asked in a sweet voice, "Do you want to get married?" Lu Chen thought about it seriously. Yes. To be honest, when he sang the song For You, at the wedding of Gao He and Wang Xiaoling, he really wanted to get married. Chen Fei, hugged Lu Chen's waist, leaned her head on his arms, closed her eyes and said, "In another 2 years when I'm over 30 we'll get married, okay?" Lu Chen smiled, "Okay." Chen Fei, opened her eyes, and the two looked at each other, with indescribable tenderness and sweetness in their eyes. Lu Chen lowered his head and kissed her charming lips. Ah! As soon as their lips touched, there was a cry of surprise. Tian, who was carrying a plate of fruits, appeared in the living room and said coquettishly, "You two pay attention to your image. This is my house. Are you trying to make me unhappy by showing off your affection in front of me?" Lu Chen was a little embarrassed and scratched his head in embarrassment. This was Tian's home in Hangzhou. Originally, they planned to stay in a hotel, but Tian said that it was not convenient for them to stay in a hotel, so they stayed in her home. Anyway, it was just one night. She lived in Lu Chen and Chen Fei's home in the capital. Chen Fei blushed slightly, but she was not afraid of her. She straightened up and said, "Then let's go to the bedroom. Remember to put on your headphones." Tian was stunned for a moment before she reacted. She couldn't help but blush. "Sister Fei, you've learned bad things." She hadn't had a boyfriend yet, so she was naturally shy when talking about such a sensitive topic. She quickly put down the fruit plate and ran away. "I'm afraid of you guys. I'm going back to my room." Tian was so shy that she ran away. Chen Fei smiled and said, "The little girl is also in love." Lu Chen shook his head, got up and leaned over to pick her up. "Wife, let's go to sleep." Chen Fei shrank in his arms and giggled. At noon the next day, Lu Chen took Chen Fei to have lunch with the newly married Gao He couple. Chen Fei also prepared a gift for the newlyweds. It was not a very expensive kind, but the intention was enough. Then the two ended their trip to Hangzhou and took the high-speed train back to Jinling. They continued the intense shooting of Full House of Romance. Due to the cooperation of many big shots in the industry, the shooting of Full House of Romance was coming to an end smoothly near July, and it would soon be officially completed and transferred to the post-production stage. It was a foregone conclusion that Lu Chen's second TV series would be broadcast during the summer vacation, so Beijing Television and Zhejiang Satellite TV, which had obtained the premiere rights, launched a publicity campaign in advance. The official V of Full House of Romance had already been online on the Waves blog. Every day, a variety of shooting footage was released to tease fans, and the early promotion was very colorful. But this doesn't mean that Full House of Romance can rest easy and sell immediately after it is broadcast, because there are many TV series that are also broadcast during the summer vacation, some of which are big productions, and there are also many dramas like Autumn in My Heart. Among them, the one whose publicity campaign is stronger than Full House of Romance is undoubtedly Shonen TV's self-produced drama, Sea of Love. Shonen TV is famous for its publicity and hype in the circle. This new drama, which will compete head-on with Full House of Romance in the summer vacation, of course, it is inevitable to invest a lot of resources in brainwashing promotion. The official V of Sea of Love was released earlier than Full House of Romance. In terms of the number of stars, it is also big than Full House of Romance. Shonen TV claims to have invested more than 100 million yuan to create the best romance drama of 2016. Sea of Love was officially completed on June 25. On the 28th, Shonen TV's ace variety show, Entertainment Big Names Show, invited the main crew and main actors of this TV series to appear. In the show, Lu Dewey, the director of Sea of Love, confidently said that this TV series is definitely one of the best shows this year, and he expects the average ratings to be at least 2% or more. And Hu Yang, who plays the male lead, claimed that shooting Sea of Love is a great challenge for him. He also showed his best state and acting skills, believing that he can bring a different experience to the audience. Although there is no name mentioned, many viewers can smell a strong smell of gunpowder when watching this episode. They feel that Shonen TV can't wait to use this TV series to fight with their opponents. Then on the 30th, when Hu Yang participated in an announcement, he accepted an interview with an entertainment reporter. He publicly said that his goal is to defeat Lu Chen and use Sea of Love to prove his strength. As a result, this news immediately appeared on the entertainment pages of major media, and even a few small headlines. Those editors who want the world to be in chaos have added oil and vinegar while reprinting, plus some people adding fuel to the fire. In the blink of an eye, the popularity has been stirred up. Hu Yang challenges Lu Qin, who is the new idol best actor. Hu Yang versus Lu Qin, the showdown of the new generation. Not willing to be a supporting role, Hu Yang's counterattack. Lu Qin's new drama faces a great test. Between Full of Romance and Sea of Love, which one do you think will win? In the big summer ratings competition, who can hand in a better report card? The entertainment news and interview video of Hu Yang challenging Lu Qin also appeared on Wave's blog at the same time, which immediately caused a big uproar. The number of his fans has also increased greatly, and soon appeared on the home page of the hot search list. Hu Yang and Lu Qin's fans therefore launched a fierce confrontation on the blog. For a time, the domestic TV series market with the arrival of the summer vacation, there is a great momentum. Chapter 390. The 22-year-old Hu Yang was undoubtedly one of the hottest new idols in the entertainment industry. More than half a year ago, he was still a signed artist of a small agency under Chinda Pictures. He quickly became popular because he played the first male supporting role in Autumn in My Heart, Han Taishi, and gained a large number of fans. Hu Yang was undoubtedly very lucky, and he was also very shrewd. After he became famous, he filed a lawsuit with his old employer and terminated his contract. He went to the powerful Juxing agency and received the latter's strong support. Strictly speaking, Hu Yang was indebted to Lu Qin. Without Lu Qin, Hu Yang wouldn't have been able to get Han Taishi, the heavyweight role that made him popular overnight. Moreover, during the filming of Autumn in My Heart, Lu Qin gave Hu Yang a lot of advice, and Hu Yang was also respectful to Lu Qin. He called him Brother Qin this and Brother Qin that all day long. People who didn't know better would think that the two had a deep friendship. But in the entertainment industry, where profits were paramount, any kindness could be discarded at will. Especially after Lu Qin rejected Hu Yang's participation in Full House of Romance, the latter basically fell out with Lu Qin. He never thought that the boss of Juxing agency, Jin Hongwei, who he signed a contract with, had a grudge against Lu Qin. Unless Lu Qin was kicked in the head by a donkey, how could he still cooperate with Hu Yang? It was easy to be arrogant when one became famous at a young age. If Hu Yang was modest and cautious before he became famous, then Hu Yang showed his frivolous side after he grew up. He issued a challenge to Lu Qin, of course, because someone was plotting behind the scenes to create hype, but it was also because of his temperament. Hu Yang wanted to prove that he was fully qualified to play the lead role and had the ability to get rid of Lu Qin's shadow. At the same time, it was to create hype for Sea of Love, which was about to be broadcast in the summer. In fact, this kind of marketing method of deliberately creating contradictions and story topics was very common in the entertainment industry. Whether or not it could be hyped up depended first on the strength of the person behind the scenes and the strength of the promotion, as well as whether the topic was enough to attract attention. Who was the person behind Hu Yang? The media was well aware that Shonen TV and Assembly of Stars agency were experienced in playing tricks. They were definitely the best in the country when it came to promoting celebrities and sensationalizing topics. There were many successful examples. Shonen TV and Lu Qin also had a grudge. Lu Qin had slapped Shonen TV's face more than once. How could Shonen TV's face be so easily slapped? Of course, they would not be so stupid as to personally go into battle. Hu Yang was undoubtedly a good knife. As long as Sea of Love beats Full House of Romance in the summertime slot, then Shonen TV will win in both content and face, which will be enough to give Lu Qin a heavy blow. As for Zhejiang Satellite TV and Beijing Television, which stood behind Lu Qin, they were originally Shonen TV's opponents. The summer movie and TV market was a battlefield, and the winners were always in the minority. It was precisely because of the complicated entanglements of interests involved that the incident of Hu Yang challenging Lu Qin through Sea of Love was hyped up by the entertainment media, which could be regarded as a warm-up for the summer TV series in advance. In addition, other film and television production companies and TV stations, which were interested in getting a share of the summertime, also took the opportunity to fish in troubled waters, and all kinds of gossip news flew everywhere. On July 2nd, Lu Qin and Qin Fei returned to Beijing. As a result, the two were surrounded by entertainment reporters who got the news from somewhere at the exit of the high-speed railway station. Full House of Romance has not yet been completely finished, but the scenes of the two have basically been shot, and the post-production such as dubbing and music has begun. And this time, Lu Qin returned to Beijing mainly to participate in an important ceremony. Mr. Lu Qin, I'm a reporter from EasyNet Entertainment. Can I ask you a few questions? What's your comment on Hu Yang saying that he would defeat you? Hu Yang's agent revealed through the media yesterday that Hu Yang had been treated unfairly when filming Autumn in My Heart. Is that true? Mr. Lu Qin, what is your prediction of the ratings of Full House of Romance? Miss Chen Fei, huh? There were more than a dozen media reporters at the exit, including EasyNet Channel, Entertainment Weekly, Newtown Newspaper, and so on. With the addition of photos and videos, it was noisy and attracted a large number of onlookers. If it weren't for the assistant blocking them and the timely appearance of the security personnel to divert the crowd, it would have been difficult for the two of them to move. Chen Fei lowered her voice and said, "Don't pay attention to them." She was experienced and knew how difficult it was to deal with entertainment reporters. Moreover, it was easy to be misinterpreted when answering questions on such an occasion without any preparation. Lu Qin nodded, "I know what I'm doing." He suddenly turned around and walked toward the place where the media reporters gathered. The entertainment reporters suddenly became excited. Under the obstruction of the security personnel, they desperately stretched out their microphones. "Lu Qin, may I ask?" Facing the microphones, Lu Qin said calmly, "Thank you for your hard work, but this is a crowded public place. It's not convenient for me to be interviewed by the media, so as not to cause any accidents. In addition, I welcome everyone to the press conference to be held at the Beijing Hotel at 7 o'clock this evening. If you have any questions, please ask them then. Thank you." At 7 o'clock that evening, representatives of the South Korean Embassy in China and the South Korean Jeju City government would hold a press conference in the conference hall of the Beijing Hotel to officially confer the title of Jeju Island Tourism Ambassador on Lu Qin and Chen Fei. As for whether the media in front of him were invited or not, whether they could get a seat in the conference hall, Lu Qin certainly didn't care. He just didn't want to give these reporters a chance to make a fuss. After saying that, Lu Qin quickly returned to Chen Fei's side. The two of them quickly left the exit under the escort of the assistant and security personnel. They boarded the nanny van that had been waiting outside and left. "You really don't know a person's face. I didn't expect that Hu Yang to be such a person." Sitting in the passenger seat, Li Feiyu said indignantly, "I used to think he was a good person. I was really blind." Li Feiyu knew Hu Yang. When they were filming Autumn in My Heart, the latter even treated Li Feiyu to a meal and was quite polite to Li Feiyu. Li Feiyu also said good things about Hu Yang, so he had a good impression of him. Now there was only downright disgust. Hu Yang obviously wanted to step on Lu Qin to continue to rise. Lu Qin smiled indifferently and said, "It's just my ass deciding my head. There's no need to be angry." My ass deciding my head? This term was very new. Li Feiyu did not understand it, and Chen Fei and Xian, who was driving, were also curious. Lu Qin explained, "A person's position determines their attitude. Hu Yang is signed by Juxing Agency, and he is filming a new drama from Shonan TV. He is our enemy, so it's normal for him to say something like this. Arguing with him will give him a chance to hype up, so there's no need." Chen Fei chuckled and said, "This sentence is really interesting and reasonable, but it's not big. That's right, we really don't need to accompany them to hype up. It's beneath our dignity." If Hu Yang heard Chen Fei's last sentence, he would probably be half dead with anger. But Chen Fei was fully qualified to say that. Lu Qin finally said, "Everything depends on the results. Strength is not hyped up, and the ratings of TV series can't be falsified. If 10,000 words of saliva can't increase the ratings by 0.1%, it will be in vain. Results determine everything. Of course, there are many blind fans, but the fans with bright eyes are by no means a minority." Lu Qin has confidence in Full House of Romance. So whether it's Hu Yang or the Juxing Agency and Shonan TV he represents, Lu Qin is not afraid. Perhaps half a year ago Juxing Agency and Shonan TV had the strength to crush Lu Qin, but Lu Qin is by no means alone in the circle. Behind him stands Beijing Television, Zhidong Satellite TV, Crown Pictures, Flying Stone Records, SPG, and other industry tycoons. In terms of lineup and power, they are strong and not weak. Most importantly, Lu Qin believes in his own work and believes that Full House of Romance, which he has carefully created, can create another miracle of ratings. Therefore, Hu Yang's various gestures and remarks are ridiculous in Lu Qin's eyes. They can lift you up, but they can also suppress you. If Shonan TV is smart enough not to confront Full House of Romance head-on, they may be able to make a difference. But the possibility of that is very small. Then bring it on. Chapter 391. Beijing Hotel is not the largest and most luxurious hotel in the capital area, but it is undoubtedly the most famous. Beijing Hotel is one of the first foreign-related hotels in China. As early as the 1950s, it was an important place to receive foreign guests and hold international conferences, and it still plays a great role in related affairs. It is precisely because of its special status in the industry that money is not enough to hold meetings or banquets in Beijing Hotel. First, one must have sufficient qualifications. The ceremony and media press conference to award Lu Qin and Qin Fei, the South Korean Jeju Island tourism ambassadors, was held in the No. 3 Conference Hall of Beijing Hotel. In addition to the 2 studios that hosted the ceremony, they also received strong support from Beijing Television and SPG. Those who came to the scene to attend the ceremony included a cultural counselor from the South Korean Embassy in China, cultural officials from the Beijing municipal government, representatives from Jeju City, and so on. The standard was quite high. In addition, more than 100 media outlets as well as friends of Lu Qin and Qin Fei in the circle were invited, participating in the grand event together. At 6:20 p.m. Lu Qin and Qin Fei arrived at the ceremony. Tonight, Lu Qin wore a black Armani suit with a white shirt, looking very handsome, while Qin Fei was dressed up. A gorgeous evening dress perfectly showed off her figure, and she became the target of many media reporters present. Tan Hong, Liao Jia, Lin Xingjie, Qin Hanyang, the Bionics, MSN Little Tigers. Even Tian took time out of her busy schedule to come to Beijing to support the two. Tonight's Beijing Hotel can be described as star-studded. Although there was no red carpet ceremony, it made the media reporters on the scene feel that the trip was worthwhile, and they had enough material to take back. The awarding ceremony began at 7 o'clock sharp. First, the cultural counselor of the South Korean Embassy in China spoke. In his speech, he praised Lu Qin and Qin Fei for their contribution to the cultural exchange between China and South Korea, and welcomed more Chinese friends to travel and shop in South Korea. Then officials from the Beijing municipal government came on stage to speak. Finally, the representative of Jeju City, Korea awarded the two with the honorary title of Jeju Island Tourism Ambassadors. When Lu Qin and Qin Fei respectively received the certificate and the golden key from the Korean official representative, the audience burst into thunderous applause, setting off a wave of celebration. Although there wasn't much pay to be a tourism ambassador, it was a commendable honor for any artist, especially when the two of them were foreign tourism ambassadors. This was unprecedented in the domestic entertainment industry, and it was the same in Korea. It was definitely an honor. If it weren't for the miraculous ratings of Autumn in My Heart in South Korea, which gave them a large number of fans in South Korea, this honor wouldn't have fallen on their heads. This represented official recognition. South Korea used this opportunity to promote tourism and attract tourists from the mainland, while Lu Qin and Qin Fei used this opportunity to better expand the South Korean market, using South Korea as a springboard to radiate influence to the Southeast Asian countries. It could be said to be a win-win cooperation. After the simple but grand ceremony, the cultural counselor of the Korean Embassy in China and the Beijing municipal government left first, and the press conference continued in the conference hall. When Lu Qin faced the reporters at the high-speed rail station during the day, it wasn't without reason that he asked them to come here to ask questions. First of all, he eliminated the small media reporters who liked to make trouble out of nothing, because these people couldn't even enter the Beijing hotel. Second, because of the standard of the press conference and the presence of many official media, it was enough to shut the mouths of those with ulterior motives, or at least not dare to ask some controversial questions. This way Lu Qin could deal with it much more easily. The first to ask questions were naturally the official media reporters, and the questions were basically related to the tourism ambassadors. Some questions were asked of Lu Qin and Qin Fei, and some were asked of the Korean representative. It was very official. After the two sides talked for more than 10 minutes, finally, a reporter couldn't help but stand up and ask, "Mr. Lu Qin, I'm a reporter from EasyNet Entertainment. First of all, congratulations on winning the honor of tourism ambassadors. May I ask if your new drama full of romance will also be broadcast in South Korea?" This question was obviously just a prelude. Lu Qin nodded and replied, "Yes, and it will premiere at the same time as in China, so that the Korean audience can see our new work as soon as possible." The reporter immediately asked, "It is said that your new drama will be broadcast this month, and according to my understanding, there are more than 10 TV series of the same genre premiering this month, including Shonen TV's Sea of Love. So, in such a fierce competition, what is your goal for the ratings of your work?" This reporter's question was probably what many of his colleagues wanted to ask. Although he didn't directly mention Hu Yang's name, the latter had threatened to beat Lu Chen in the ratings a few days ago. In the face of Hu Yang's challenge, what would Lu Chen's attitude be? This was the question that everyone was most concerned about. And Lu Chen was already prepared for such a question. He answered calmly, average of 3 to exceed 4. What? The reporter was confused. Can you explain? Lu Chen smiled and said, I said that my goal for the ratings of Full of Romance is to average 3 to exceed 4%, with an average of 3% and a maximum of 4%. Is that clear enough? An average of 3% and a maximum of 4%. There was a sudden exclamation in the conference hall. Many people couldn't believe their ears. As entertainment media reporters who attended this press conference, they had a basic and even in-depth understanding of the ratings of domestic TV series. At present, it was considered a success if the average ratings of domestic TV series could reach 1%. The highest rating of Autumn in My Heart, filmed by Lu Chen last year, exceeded 3%, which was a phenomenal record-breaking result. Now that he had said that the average ratings would exceed 3%, it was not as simple as an increase of 1%. It was not like 20 or 30 years ago. At that time, entertainment was relatively scarce. Watching TV had become the most common way for ordinary people to relax. It was easy for a classic TV series to reach tens of percent, and there were even scenes of tens of thousands of people coming out to watch TV. Nowadays, entertainment had become extremely popular. There were as many TV stations as there were hairs on an ox. New media had seized resources. Most domestic TV series ratings were within 1%. Although Lu Chen had the success of Autumn in My Heart, his target for the new TV series was 4%. That was really shocking. Wasn't he afraid that the wind would cut his tongue? In such a formal occasion and with such a formal expression, even if Lu Chen wanted to deny it, he couldn't do it. Once he didn't achieve the target result, then his face would be greatly shaved, even if he didn't lose all his face. If this was Lu Chen's counterattack against Hu Yang and Shonen TV, then his counterattack was too ruthless. He was ruthless to his opponent and even more ruthless to himself. Many reporters were excited. They could smell the thick smell of gunpowder. Chapter 392. Lu Chen says that the ratings of Full House of Romance will break 4%. What gives Lu Chen so much confidence? Let's wait and see. The summer TV series has not yet been broadcast. Sea of Love vs Full House of Romance. Who will laugh in the end? 4%. Lu Chen's new drama points to a new record. That night, many big and small media couldn't wait to publish what Lu Chen said at the press conference on their websites, and the hype was in full swing. In contrast, the news that he and Chin Fei won the South Korea Jeju Island Tourism Ambassadors was put in the corner, and the attention was far less than that of Sea of Romance. And Sea of Romance, a new term created by Lu Chen, also quickly appeared on the hot search list of blogs. Lu Chen's fans were naturally encouraged by his bold words and applauded one after another, but many people in the industry held the opposite attitude, thinking that Lu Chen was too confident and would suffer sooner or later. At present, the domestic TV series and variety show market has long been a Red Sea, and the competition is so fierce that outsiders can't imagine it. Especially in the summer slot, it is the time for major satellite TV stations to show their magical powers. In the summer slot, newly shot TV series are often broadcast together. Without a strong star lineup and intensive publicity and promotion, it is undoubtedly extremely difficult to get out of this bottomless Red Sea. Although Lu Chen has the support of Beijing Television, Zhidong Satellite TV, and other industry tycoons, he also has Autumn in My Heart as the foundation. He is too proud to want to break the average ratings of 3%. Because his competitor is Shonen TV, known as the king of the summer slot. Shonen TV has always been the overlord of local satellite TV stations in China. Its self-made dramas and variety shows disdain its peers, and it can play a lot of cards in the summer slot. Shonen TV has made it clear that it wants to use the all-star production of Sea of Love to compete with Full of Romance. If Lu Chen's TV series can maintain an average viewership rating of 2%, it will be a victory. It is really exaggerated to say that 3% exceeds 4%. On the Waves blog, some people mocked Lu Chen for getting carried away, asserting that he would be slapped in the face. Another person at Hu Yang and asked him what he thought about it. Hu Yang immediately said on his blog that everyone should wait and see. He has confidence in the decision of Sea of Love. His blog post immediately received a large number of reposts, likes and comments, and the official V and main actors of Sea of Love gave encouragement and support. A huge momentum was quickly created, giving people the feeling that Lu Chen was overestimating his capabilities and talking big. And in the ratings war that has not yet begun, Boundless Sea of Love is bound to win. Although Lu Chen's fans celebrated Lu Chen and Chen Feier's awards on the blog, they also launched an unyielding struggle against this kind of belittling remarks about Lu Chen, making tonight's Waves blog once again become a battlefield of fierce debate. But compared with the piles of water armies and network pushers, their voices are obviously not loud enough, and they have always been firmly suppressed. Shonen TV. Lu Chen sat in front of the computer browsing the smoke-filled Waves blog and couldn't help shaking his head. No matter how Hu Yang jumps up and down, Lu Chen will not pay attention to him. The real trouble is Shonen TV. It is undeniable that Shonen TV has great energy and publicity, especially in the creation of public opinion in new media. This time they went all out to promote Sea of Love, and the influence caused by it is undoubtedly very strong. In contrast, whether it is Zhidong Satellite TV or Beijing Television, they are weaker than Shonen TV in terms of online publicity. The number of fans of the first two official V blogs is only 1/10 of that of Shonen TV. Although it is easy to falsify the number of fans on a blog, the gap between the two sides can be seen. And this kind of publicity offensive is bound to have an impact on the ratings of the two TV series, and the effect cannot be underestimated. Do you know how powerful they are? Chen Feier hugged Lu Chen from behind, and her soft and towering chest pressed intimately against his back. She said with a smile, "A senior told me before that I can't be a friend of Shonen TV, nor should I be their enemy." Lu Chen touched his chin thoughtfully. "It sounds very powerful. After this summer vacation, I hope to change it too. I can't be a friend of Lu Chen, nor should I be his enemy." Ha ha ha, Chen Feier was tickled by Lu Chen's domineering declaration. She couldn't help but come over and kiss him on the face and said, "I like your confident look." She first had a good impression of Lu Chen in the competition of Singing China. At that time, although Lu Chen was still an unknown newcomer, he had a maturity and confidence that was different from others on the stage. Chen Fei has never seen this kind of maturity and confidence in many singers who have been in the industry for many years. Secondly, there is Lu Chen's talent. Chen Feier was thinking when Lu Chen suddenly turned around and hugged her in his arms and gave her a deep French kiss. Chen Feier responded enthusiastically. After kissing the beauty until her pretty face turned red, Lu Chen reluctantly let her go and said, "We also have to make some efforts in publicity. We can't let them always have the upper hand." Chen Feier sat on his lap and asked curiously, "What are you going to do?" In fact, whether it is Beijing Television, Zhidong Satellite TV or her and Lu Chen Studio, they have already launched the publicity work full of romance, but the intensity is far less than that of their opponents. Lu Chen said with a smile, "Let's release a flash bomb first." At 11:15 that evening, Chen Feier's blog suddenly released a new blog post. In this blog post titled "Only for You," she wrote, "In the dead of the night, I'm giving everyone a new song that I played and sang by myself. It's an interlude from Full House of Romance. Those who like it, please like it. ******, followed by a video recorded by a mobile phone. In the video, Lu Chen, wearing a t-shirt and shorts, was sitting in front of a small bar, holding a guitar in his arms. When the camera turned and fixed, Lu Chen said with a smile, "The name of this song is Only for You, OH. Only for you, I'd like to become a shadow and follow you. Only for you, my heart has become a castle, it belongs to you all my life. Only for you, you said I was too childish, you don't know how to take care of a delicate heart. In fact, I've always been very attentive, it's just that I didn't explain, the blueprint for the future is in my heart." Lu Chen wrote a total of one theme song and two interludes for Full House of Romanticism. This song, Only for You, is one of the interludes. Originally, it was not intended to be released in the early publicity. But in the face of the aggressive attack of the opponent, he really had to come up with something real. What was the strongest thing about Lu Chen? It was his talent in music. His excellent and even classic original works were the foundation of his foothold in the entertainment industry. He was completely different from Hu Yang's generation. The number of his fans was also big than the number of fans of the drama. Many people did not like the TV series made by Lu Chen, but his new songs would not be missed. And a popular song had a positive effect on the TV series or the movie. Only for You was a very straightforward love song. The melody was bright and catchy. It did not have the sadness and melancholy of most love songs. It was absolutely refreshing to listen to. You often say I'm too practical, I don't know how to express the romantic feelings in my heart. In fact, I've been very careful, preparing for loving you until everything was ready. Only for you? Lu Chen's interpretation of this song was affectionate and passionate. While playing and singing, he stared at the camera, staring at Chen Fei, who was holding the phone. The sunny smile on his face and the gentleness in his dark eyes instantly moved all the people who watched the video, especially those sensitive female fans. So even though it was almost midnight, Chen Fei's blog post still received tens of thousands of shares, and the number of likes was rising. Countless fans left comments in the comments section. A gentle flash bomb was released just like that. There was no water army, no promoter, and no cost. But the effect was not something that could be achieved by spending hundreds of thousands or even millions of marketing expenses. Note, only for you lyricist, Yao Qian/composer, Harlem U. Chapter 393. Chen Fei has been famous for many years and has more than 20 million fans on Wave's blog. Fans who are familiar with her know that the heavenly queen of the music industry never quarreled with others on the internet. The content of her blog is basically daily photos, sharing experiences, reflections on life, etc. She is completely a quiet little girl, completely different from those star artists in the entertainment industry who can make waves when they have nothing to do. For example, this blog post. Everyone knew that she was definitely promoting Full House of Romance, but this kind of promotion method was not the disgusting yelling type of forceful brainwashing. It was very quiet and nourishing. A few simple sentences, an amazing video, and a touching love song. If this is a hype, fans say let the hype be more intense. I like Lu Chen so much, I like his songs. If someone can sing a love song like this to me, then I will definitely marry him. My Fei is so happy, bless. Don't say anything else, I'm going to follow Full House of Romance! Looking forward to the new works of the two. 99% of the comments of the blog netizens are positive. Although there is no lack of complaints of blinding and being showered with love again, they are all good-natured teasing. And the song Only for You, like many of Lu Chen's works, has been liked by fans. There was no need for the support group to encourage them at all. Everyone took the initiative to like and forward it, which made more and more people interested in Full House of Romance. By the next day, July 3rd, Chen Fei's blog post had been forwarded more than 500,000 times, with more than 1 million likes and hundreds of thousands of comments, which steadily made it to the blog headlines. Compared with the marketing of the new drama vigorously promoted by Shonen TV, the effect of her blog post was enough to rival the hype of her opponents' piles of water armies and pushers, or even better. On the same day, the official V of Beijing Television, Zhidong Satellite TV and Crown Pictures, as well as Lu Chen Studio and Chen Fei Studio, announced at the same time that the new drama Full House of Romance will premiere on the two major satellite TV stations during prime time on the 22nd of this month. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 2 episodes will be aired each day, for a total of 25 episodes. This kind of broadcast frequency was quite intensive, which was undoubtedly beneficial to the increase of viewership. The summer break would be finished in 4 weeks, and it would be rebroadcast in early September. After the broadcast date of Full of Romance was officially announced, Shonen TV teamed up with a number of media companies, film and television entertainment companies, and celebrity studios to announce that Shonen TV's annual urban romance drama, Sea of Love, would premiere on July 15th. It would also air 3 days a week with 2 episodes a day. Just as everyone expected, the two families directly collided. Not only did Shonen TV have no intention of backing down, but it also made it clear that it wanted to compete for the same time slot. In fact, such a situation was very rare. Usually, television stations would deliberately avoid direct competition and stagger the broadcast of variety shows or big-budget TV series to ensure the ratings. But in the 2-month summer break, this kind of head-on competition was not surprising. However, Shonen TV's tit-for-tat was too strong, and it made people feel the aggressiveness of this local satellite TV station. Sea of Love finished filming earlier than Full of Romance, and the premiere date was announced later than the latter. Moreover, it was scheduled to premiere after Full of Romance, but it was scheduled to premiere a week earlier than Full of Romance. In addition to Sea of Love, several other TV series of the same genre also announced their premiere dates. They were very wise to not broadcast during prime time on weekends, but on weeknights. Everyone showed off their skills and the publicity offensive suddenly became fierce. Under such circumstances, of course, Lu Qin could not idle around in Beijing. He and Qin Fei, along with the main members of the Full of Romance crew, launched a 2-week nationwide publicity tour. Their first stop was Haijin. On the same night in Haijin, Lu Qin found time in the hotel to log into Waves to read. His book, The Smiling, Proud Wanderer, was uploaded on the evening of May 27th. It had been more than a month since it was uploaded. It was updated regularly at 6,000 words a day, and the number of updates exceeded 200,000. Compared to the bleak situation when the book was first published, the numbers now were obviously much better. Hits, 57,560 votes, recommendations, 10,260 votes, favorites, 2,687 votes, 4,580 comments. For a newcomer's new book, this result was very good in the absence of any recommendations. Moreover, the activity of the readers in the book review section was quite high. Even without the participation of the author, the discussion was still in full swing. Of course, compared to the popular works at the top of the list of Waves, this result was not worth mentioning. But in the comments of the readers, Lu Qin saw that they liked this theme, and many of the book reviews were quite interesting. At least they had such thoughts after reading it carefully. This made Lu Qin feel a sense of satisfaction. He serialized The Smiling, Proud Wanderer on Waves, which was actually equivalent to farming the experimental field. He quietly sowed the seeds to see what kind of harvest he would get in the end. So far, it seemed that at least he would not get nothing. The total amount of tips from the readers had already exceeded 50,000 reading coins. Of course, this amount of money was nothing. It also represented the wishes of the readers, right? When Lu Qin logged into his author's platform, he received a text message from the website. He opened it and saw that it was a message from the website's editor to sign a contract with him. The editor's QQ number was included. The message was sent 2 days ago, but these few days, Lu Qin had not logged into Waves to read. The chapters were automatically updated by his previous drafts. He only found out today when he logged in and added his drafts. It was probably because the data was good that the editor gave him the opportunity to sign a contract. Out of curiosity, Lu Qin opened his sock puppet QQ, added the editor's number, and noted the name of the work. What Lu Qin did not expect was that the editor with the nickname Anshin quickly accepted his friend request. Anshin. Hello, are you the author of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer, Yi Jingu? Lu Qin. Yes, editor Anshin. Hello, do you work at night as well? Anshin. I am on duty at night. May I ask if the copyright of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer is in your hands? Lu Qin. Yes, it is in my hands. Anshin. That's good. The results of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer are good, so we want to sign a contract with you. Take a look at this contract and let me know if you have any comments. She sent a contract document to Lu Qin. For Lu Qin, signing a contract for a serialized novel was something new. He immediately opened the document. He wanted to see what kind of contract it was. Chapter 394. The contract for Waves books had a total of 10 pages. It involved a lot of specific terms and was very detailed. It basically covered all the copyrights of an IP. At the same time, it stipulated the rights and obligations of both parties. It was impeccable in terms of the law. Lu Qin mainly looked at the terms of the copyrights. Generally speaking, the rights and benefits of the contract were 50-50. The website and the author each had 50-50, such as subscriptions, tips, and derivative copyrights. If Lu Qin signs this contract, then in addition to publishing 50% of the film and television, games, animation and other copyright income of The Smiling, Proud Wanderer will go to Inspire Books. Lu Qin was not surprised by the terms of the contract. He had now tested the waters in the online literature circle. He had a little understanding of the situation in the online literature circle. He knew that most of the websites were similar in terms of contracts, and there was no essential difference. Only the top authors had the right to negotiate contracts with the websites. In fact, it was similar to the entertainment industry. Artists who signed with entertainment agencies would get much harsher contracts at the beginning. That was normal. Capital always had to be profitable. There was no free lunch in the world. The website provided the resources, so they naturally had to seek profits. Otherwise, how could they face the investors? But understanding was one thing. Lu Qin would not sign the contract. He regarded The Smiling, The Proud Wanderer and the subsequent Wuxia novels as big IP. He would not give up such a big profit just to gain a foothold in the online literature circle. So Lu Qin only looked at the contract for something new. Editor, and I have read the contract. It is very different from what I expected. I'm not going to sign the contract. Thank you. His answer was obviously out of the other party's expectation. Can you be more specific? Luchin, I will not give up the copyrights of movies, games, etc. So, I'm sorry. Anshin, that's a pity. I have read The Smiling, the Proud Wanderer. It is really well written. It has a certain number of readers now. But only after signing the contract can it be recommended by the website. In fact, the copyrights of movies and TV series will only be valuable after the book becomes popular. Do you understand what I am saying? Luchin, yes, I understand. But I am still sorry. The Wave's editor was silent for a few minutes. Then he said, well, if you change your mind, you can contact me at any time. Luchin felt that this editor was quite good. After being rejected, he didn't get angry and seemed to be very gentlemanly. However, the attitude of the website she represented was very firm. There was no room for negotiation in the contract. Yi Jin-gu was an unknown author, and there were tens of thousands of similar authors. As one of the top online literature websites in the country, it would be strange if Waves Books was willing to change the contract for him. Of course, if Luchin revealed his real body, then any conditions would probably be easy to negotiate. He asked, if I don't sign the contract, will the book continue to be updated? Anshin, no problem. But, after the conversation with the Waves book editor, Luchin couldn't help but laugh. Thinking back, he was still a little naive at the beginning. In fact, this result should have been expected, but it didn't matter much. It was just an experience to satisfy his curiosity, and it didn't affect his big IP plan. Luchin uploaded all the manuscripts he had saved in the past few days into the draft box and set it to be automatically updated. Since he had chosen the publishing platform of Waves Books, it wouldn't be too late to continue publishing. It wouldn't be too late to promote it after accumulating enough words. At least, it would be worthy of the 2,687 readers who had collected The Smiling, Proud Wanderer. Also, there was the reward for their support. On July 5th, Luchin and Qin Feier left Haijin with the crew of Full House of Romance and went to Hangzhou. Hangzhou was the second stop for the promotion of the new series. In the next half a month, they would travel across more than half of China, trying their best to push the urban romantic comedy to the vast market. On July 15th, the summer drama Love of Shonen TV premiered at prime time in the evening. On July 16th, Luchin finished the promotion and returned to Beijing. The ratings of Love are out. In the studio, Lucy put a thin piece of printing paper in front of Luchin, who had just returned. She looked a little serious. Luchin smiled and said, "Isn't it very good?" Lucy said angrily, "Look at it yourself. Now you are under pressure, right?" Her sister was angry that Luchin didn't discuss it with her before. In front of the reporters, he said that the ratings of Full House of Romance would reach the highest 4%, which put the studio more or less in a passive situation. Luchin said too much, which put a lot of pressure on the studio. And Lucy also felt that the goal of 4% was too high. It was to break a new record. Now that the most powerful opponent was one step ahead of them, her sister couldn't help but worry about how to end the problem in the future. She wanted to knock on Luchin's head with her mobile phone and ask him if he was getting carried away. Now that the ratings of the premiere of Love came out, he still didn't care and laughed carelessly, which really made Lucy angry. Luchin made a gesture of surrender and then picked up the printing paper. The first episode of Love had a rating of 1.35%, the second episode 1.43%, and the average rating of the two episodes was 1.39%. Such ratings were quite dazzling and beyond Luchin's expectations. No wonder Lucy had such an expression. If a TV series' premiere ratings broke 1%, it was basically a prelude to a hit. In fact, there were a large number of TV series produced in China every year. Most of them could be on the screen, and the ratings were generally between 0.1% and 1%. Breaking 1% was already very successful. With an average rating of 1.39% for the two episodes, Love could be said to be the first to open the door and become popular. It should be known that the ratings of the first and second episodes of Autumn in My Heart last year were only 0.22% and 0.26%. Although Shonen TV's early publicity was very big, and the TV series also gathered a large number of stars, it was inevitable that there would be high ratings, but it was not expected to be so high. Luchin did not doubt the authenticity of the ratings of Love, because the investigation of the ratings of domestic TV programs was independently completed by New Video Company, a subsidiary of the State Administration of Radio, Film and Television. It belonged to a state-owned third-party authority, and its authenticity was beyond doubt. Now the pressure on the premiere of Full House of Romance is great, because on the 22nd, Love will also continue to broadcast the third and fourth episodes, competing head-on with Full House of Romance in the ratings. The only advantage of Full House of Romance was that it was premiered by Beijing Television and Zhejiang Satellite TV at the same time, which could improve the overall ratings to a certain extent. However, in the face of aggressive opponents, it still gave people a sense of suspense. Lu Shi frowned and said, "We still have a week left. Discuss with several other companies and increase the investment in publicity. We have to suppress their momentum." If compared with the early publicity, Full House of Romance is worse than Love. Now it can be considered as mending the pen after the sheep is lost. Lu Chen thought about it, shook his head decisively and said, "No, we just need to keep the current pace." He and Qin Fei and the crew of Full House of Romance have traveled to 7 major cities in China for publicity in the past half a month, and have invested a lot of advertising in both traditional and new media. The budget is almost over. The early publicity has been very sufficient. If they want to achieve better results, the investment has to be at least doubled. That would not be worth the loss. Moreover, TV series are different from movies. TV series have a long serialization time, and the importance of audience reputation exceeds publicity. Lu Chen believes in the quality of Full House of Romance, so why fight with Shonen TV in publicity? The one who can laugh at the end is the winner. However, the idea of Shonen TV is obviously completely different from that of Lu Chen. After the first 2 episodes of Love got high ratings, they immediately launched a new publicity offensive. Hu Yang, the star of Love, immediately updated his blog with the title 139%, and released a photo of him opening champagne in a hotel to celebrate with friends. At the same time, Hu Yang frequently interacted with the other actors of the show, and his pride was overflowing. In contrast, Lu Chen's blog fell into a brief silence. This inevitably gives people an illusion that the battle between Full House of Romance and Love, Lu Chen and Shonen TV and Hu Yang, has been decided. Chapter 395. Sea of Love has a strong cast, and Lu Dawei, who directs the show, is a first-class director in China. The first 2 episodes of the premiere on the 15th did not disappoint. The plot was novel and original, the characters were bright and eye-catching, the details were accurate, and the camera was full of sense. It was definitely a rare good play. The average rating of 139% for the premiere strongly proved its charm. The author boldly predicted that Sea of Love will become the overlord of domestic summer TV series. The above comments came from a drama critic's blog. The small V drama critic with hundreds of thousands of fans was not stingy with his praise. He praised Sea of Love to the sky. And he is not only the only drama critic who advocates for the boundless sea of love on his blog. Almost similar drama reviews appeared in Inspur blog after the premiere ratings of The Boundless Sea of Love came out, but were quickly forwarded to major forums and post bars. Compared with film critics and sound critics, drama critics are undoubtedly a more niche existence. The original drama critics mainly reviewed literary dramas, and later referred to professional TV critics. It was also different from film critics and music critics. The internet was basically the only platform for drama critics. Most of the drama critics were part-time industry insiders. Some of them used their real names while others used their sock puppets. They had a certain amount of influence in the field of online TV series reviews. But it is basically a fool's dream to expect drama critics to review a TV series with a fair and just attitude. Putting aside the skin of professionals, they are no different from those online pushers who speak for money. Drama critics with a conscience were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. However, the audience is not a fool. Whether it is good or bad, they will naturally judge it with their own eyes. In the relatively free world of the internet, there is also their voice. And the voice of the audience is the most real. Sea of Love is okay, but the front plot is too similar to Autumn in My Heart, isn't it? Hu Yang is very handsome, but isn't he trying too hard to play Qin Huai? I feel that Hu Yang is still Han Taishi in Autumn in My Heart, and his acting skills have not improved. The cast is really strong, but can the story be a little new? I feel good. On the internet, the audience has a lot of positive comments on Sea of Love, but there are also a lot of dissatisfaction. The main opinions are focused on the plot and the hero. First of all, the opening plot of Sea of Love is at least 70% similar to that of Autumn in My Heart. The same heroine is mistakenly replaced, and a series of storylines are derived. To put it bluntly, this was a counterfeit. However, this is precisely what Xiangnan Satellite TV is good at. Their self-made dramas are best at applying the plot. American dramas, Korean dramas, Japanese dramas. Whatever is popular, they will apply it and change it into their own things. What made people speechless was that Shonen TV's self-produced dramas were often very popular in the country, with the usual all-star lineup, excellent production, and brilliant marketing and publicity methods. And it was precisely because of their success that it attracted the industry to imitate them, and the phenomenon of people following them became increasingly serious. Shonen TV saw the great success of Autumn in My Heart, and resolutely launched a new drama that followed the trend, and even pulled in the actors of the original drama. The purpose was to attract thousands of fans of Autumn in My Heart. As for the hero Hu Yang, who has been very active on the blog recently, many viewers said that he was very handsome, but his acting skills and appearance did not match, and he did not get rid of the role of Han Taishi that made him famous. But most of the negative comments, whether it was posted on the official V of Shonen TV or the official V of Sea of Love, or the comment area of Hu Yang's blog, were basically deleted. Most of the comments that could be left were good comments. Time passed quickly and a week passed in a blink of an eye. Lu Chen's new drama Full House of Romance finally ushered in the premiere day, which was broadcast at 8:30 p.m. on Beijing Television, Zhidong Satellite TV and South Korea's KGS TV at the same time. No matter how popular Sea of Love was, it could not cover up the honor of Full House of Romance. That is, Full House of Romance was the first TV series produced in China to premiere abroad simultaneously. This has also become one of the focuses of the publicity of Full House of Romance. But no matter how good the publicity is, it still depends on the results. If the ratings of Full House of Romance encounter a Waterloo, then this honor will become a joke. And many fans of Lu Chen and Qin Fei are also looking forward to the broadcast of Full House of Romance. They have long locked the TV channel on Beijing Television or Zhidong Satellite TV. Get ready everyone. It will start in 10 minutes. Sitting in front of the computer, Meng Meng quickly typed a line of words and posted it in the QQ group she set up. Meng Meng's QQ group is called Morning Fan Club, with nearly 1,000 members, all of whom are fans of Lu Chen, and they are all real fans. Meng Meng is very famous in Lu Chen's fan circle. She suffered from leukemia and received generous donations from Lu Chen. Later, Lu Chen also established a charity foundation for leukemia. The story between Meng Meng and Lu Chen has been featured in major media. A few months ago, Meng Meng successfully completed a bone marrow transplant and recovered very well after the operation. Meng Meng, who was reborn, was extremely grateful to Lu Chen, and naturally became Lu Chen's hardcore fan. While recuperating at home, she set up this QQ group to support Lu Chen. Whenever any news related to Lu Chen comes out, Meng Meng will send it to the group as soon as possible. This time, Lu Chen's new drama Full House of Romance is about to premiere. Meng Meng not only wants to watch it herself, but also encourages her relatives, friends and classmates to watch it together. As for the Morning Fan Club, there is no need to mention it. Everyone is waiting. I know, little Meng Meng, I'm sitting in front of the TV, and I'm still playing commercials. Invincible Chen, Full House of Romance, will definitely beat Vast Sea of Love. Needless to say, Hu Yang is really disgusting and I used to be a fan of him. Don't mention that disgusting guy, let's support Lu Chen together. Support. The group members responded like a tide, and messages flashed quickly in the window, making it very lively. Because the premiere of Full House of Romance does not include online broadcast, it can only be watched on TV. Many fans said that this is the first time they have watched TV in several years. It's to support Lu Chen. Looking at the message on the computer screen, Meng Meng couldn't help clenching her fists. Lu Chen, come on. Chapter 396. It's raining. Bean-sized raindrops hit the glass window under the effect of the strong wind, and the dense patter made Lu Chen wake up from his deep sleep. He opened his eyes and took a deep breath, feeling the warm and fragrant jade in his arms, and couldn't help but be tempted. Last night they were entangled several times, but he still wanted more. Qin Fei, who was still sleeping sweetly, groaned unconsciously, frowned and groaned with dissatisfaction. Lu Chen smiled, lowered his head and bit her jade-like earlobe gently, and finally made the sleeping beauty wake up. She slapped Lu Chen's hand that was touching her body. You're so annoying. Lu Qin hugged her tightly and said with a smile, "Go to sleep." But Chen Feier was already fully awake and said coquettishly, "I'm not a pig. Can I fall asleep just because I want to? What time is it?" Lu Qin had to let her go, turned sideways and picked up the mobile phone in front of the bed. He opened it and took a look. 10:30. Chen Feier was shocked and immediately sat up from the bed, ignoring the thin quilt slipping down and exposing her body. "So late. Get up quickly." Lu Qin said lazily, "It's rare to have a day off. Sleep with me a little longer." During this period of time his daily work schedule has been full, and there were few opportunities to meet with Chen Fei. Today he finally had time to sleep in as a reward for himself. The way of life lies in tension and relaxation. If the string is too tight it will break. "You're the pig." Chen Fei didn't agree. She grabbed the clothes that were scattered on the bedside and put them on. The ratings of the premiere of Full of Romance have come out. You can still continue to sleep. Hurry up and watch it. Chen Fei is really concerned about Lu Qin and her second TV series. Last night, Beijing Television and Zhidong Satellite TV premiered at the same time, and she went home early to watch it. This heavenly queen was also suppressing a wave of energy in her heart, an energy that refused to admit defeat. Lu Qin said helplessly, "What's the difference between seeing it sooner or later? Even if I watched it earlier the ratings wouldn't have increased." Chen Fei pinched him fiercely. "Get up." The lion's roar from Hedong was very powerful. Lu Qin had no choice but to get up and wash up. Then he ran to the study and turned on the computer. "How is it?" Chen Fei asked loudly while frying eggs in the kitchen for breakfast. Lu Qin logged into New Vision's website and quickly found a familiar name on the homepage. In the first and second episodes of Full of Romance, Zhidong Satellite TV's ratings were 0.67% and 0.71% respectively, while Beijing Television's ratings were 0.43% and 0.45%, with a comprehensive average rating of 1.13% and a peak rating of 1.16%. Ranked third. And the first place in the domestic TV ratings was Shonen TV's Sea of Love. The third and fourth episodes of the TV series reached 1.46% and 1.50% respectively, with an average of 1.48%. It was broadcast at the same time on the same day. In a head-to-head contest, Sea of Love surpassed Full of Romance by 0.32%. This gap was not small because many TV series' highest ratings may not reach 0.3%. Chen Fei, who brought up the breakfast, was very disappointed. How could this be? Lu Qin took the plate and put it aside first. He held her in his arms and sat her on his lap. He said with a smile, "It's just beginning. I'll call to ask how the ratings in South Korea are." Full of Romance premiered in China and South Korea at the same time, which was the first time in a domestic TV series. While Lu Qin was on the phone, Chen Fei tapped on the keyboard and opened the Light and Shadow Network. The Light and Shadow Network was a very famous community website in China. It mainly recommended and reviewed movies, TV shows, and books. The ratings of the Light and Shadow Network reflected the audience's evaluation of movies and TV shows to a large extent. This part of the audience was mainly artistic and petty bourgeois netizens, so their ratings had nothing to do with the movie box office and TV show ratings. It only represented a kind of comment direction. Chen Fei was also a registered member of the Light and Shadow Network. Of course, she used a sock puppet ID. In the Light and Shadow Network, she found the rating column of Full of Romance without a hitch. So far, a total of 1,278 members had rated Full of Romance, with an average score of 8.7. The full score was 10. This score was beyond Chen Fei's expectations. Although the Light and Shadow Network was a niche website, its rating system was very strict. Even registered members had to have enough qualifications and points to rate movies, TV shows, or books. Therefore, to a large extent, it prevented cheating. Moreover, the website would deal with abnormal data in a timely manner. Therefore, although the rating could not represent the mainstream, it had a certain degree of authority. Most of the members of the Light and Shadow Network were urban white-collar workers. They liked artistic works. Most of them were disgusted with the popular idol dramas. Therefore, it was not easy for a TV show like Full of Romance to win a high score here. It was worth mentioning that Autumn in My Heart had a rating of 7.5 on the Light and Shadow Network. Moreover, the Light and Shadow Network's reviews were very polarized. Those who liked it praised it highly, while those who didn't like it hated it. The reason for their dislike was that they hated the melodramatic plot, the sadomasochism, and the female lead. The ratings for Full of Romance were obviously much better than Autumn in My Heart. There were many positive reviews. I watched Full of Romance last night. At least the story attracted me, so I give it 8.5. A modern version of Cinderella and the Prince. I give the screenwriter a thumbs up. He can write an old story with new ideas. I feel that Chen Feier's acting has improved significantly. It's better than Autumn in My Heart. Lu Chen is very much like a star. I give him 9 points. The scenery in Jeju Island is so beautiful. Browsing through the comment section of Full of Romance, a joyful smile appeared on Chen Feier's face. She had been in the industry for many years and had experienced prosperity. However, she had high hopes for this TV series that she had poured a lot of effort into. She also hoped that it would be recognized and loved by the audience. In order to play the female lead of Full of Romance, Chen Feier had specially invited 2 well-known senior teachers in the industry to guide her acting skills. Her hard work was obviously not in vain. After reading the ratings and reviews of Full of Romance, Chen Feier clicked on Sea of Love. 2 points. Contrary to the situation where the ratings of Full of Romance were higher than Full of Romance, the ratings of Sea of Love on the Light and Shadow Network were at least 3 streets behind the latter. The average score given by more than 3,000 members was just over 6 points. This kind of reputation was very difficult to achieve. Although Chen Feier was very clear that the ratings of the Light and Shadow Network did not represent the opinions of the mainstream audience, and the works with high ratings were all over the place. However, the little bit of depression in her heart had disappeared because of this. At least it was a good start, wasn't it? Chapter 397. Unlike the ratings on the Guangying website, on the blog of Waves, there are good reviews of Sea of Love everywhere. In fact, the premiere of Full House of Romance is already very strong. The overall average rating has reached 13%, which has left most of the similar TV series in the dust. It can be said that it is a good start and it is worth celebrating. But the problem is that due to the early publicity war, Full House of Romance and Sea of Love are considered to be opposite each other. Shonen TV's tit-for-tat broadcasting strategy also makes the competition between the 2 TV series full of gunpowder, which makes people naturally compare them. The ratings of Full House of Romance lost to Sea of Love by 0.32%, which naturally gave some people the best topic. On his blog, Hu Yang proudly brushed the title of the blog post 50%. Although he did not name names, everyone knew that he was showing off the results of Sea of Love, and demonstrating to Lu Chen that he can still be the protagonist, and he is very good at it. Compared with the other protagonist of The Boundless Sea of Love, that is Zhang Liwei, who plays the heroine, Hu Yang is undoubtedly much more high profile. He has made a name for himself on the blog, and has also attracted great disgust from Lu Chen fans. Zhang Liwei also became famous because of Autumn in My Heart. Unlike Hu Yang, she did not get rid of her agency after becoming famous, but continued to stay. After taking over the role of the heroine of Sea of Love, Zhang Liwei also posted on her blog to promote the TV series, or release some shooting footage or something. But her publicity was only aimed at the show itself and never involved Full House of Romance. Even if she was asked sensitive questions by reporters, she always cleverly avoided them. Compared with Zhang Liwei's modesty and prudence, Hu Yang is really too arrogant. This makes many people feel surprised. As a young artist who has just become popular, Hu Yang is so ostentatious and even arrogant. It is a bit too much to pique with Lu Chen. As an artist, in fact, it is better to be low-key and modest. Isn't Hu Yang's approach a little stupid? In fact, Hu Yang is not stupid. On the contrary, he is very smart, even too smart. First of all, he knew what he was relying on. It was the Assembly of Stars agency and Shonen TV. With the support of these two, he would be able to stand firm in the entertainment industry and not be afraid of ordinary storms. Secondly, through this method, Hu Yang gained a lot of attention, and the number of fans on his blog kept increasing. Although he had attracted a lot of haters because of this, who didn't have haters? Lu Chen had it, and so did Chen Feier. There was no need to be afraid of having anti-fans. The scariest thing was that no one paid attention to them. The more attention they had, the higher their commercial value. Even if they were scolded by others, they would still have a large income from endorsements and advertisements. If they didn't seize the opportunity to hype up now, when would they? Therefore, not only would Hu Yang not restrain himself, but he would also continue to show off the viewership ratings. Now it was 150%. Tomorrow it might be 170%. The day after that it might reach 2%. Basking in the sun once was equivalent to slapping Lu Chen's face. How could he not be happy? Lu Chen's target for full of romance was 4%. He had too many opportunities to slap people's faces. With results, attention, fun, and money, why wouldn't Hu Yang do it? He couldn't wait to hype up the show as much as possible. If Lu Chen fought with him, that would be even better. Of course, Lu Chen wouldn't do something as lowly as fighting with him, but that didn't mean that Lu Chen wouldn't fight back. Moreover, Lu Chen had just mastered a powerful weapon. Less than 10 minutes after Hu Yang updated his blog, Lu Chen also posted a new blog post. In this blog post titled, "Thanks," he first thanked the fans for their support for the new drama Full of Romance, which allowed the premiere of the drama to reach 1%, achieving the first step of his goal. In addition, Lu Chen had another piece of good news to tell everyone. The premiere of Full of Romance in Korea had exceeded 15%, reaching 21%. This rating not only set a record for the premiere of domestic dramas in Korea, but it was also the runner-up for the premiere of the same genre on Korean TV this year, only 5% behind the champion. If it wasn't for the natural disadvantage of imported dramas, or if it was changed to KBS and MBC, the two stronger Korean TV stations, then there would be no suspense in the championship. As soon as Lu Chen's blog post was published, not only did it attract cheers and waves from fans, but it also gave a heavy blow to those who belittled Full of Romance on the blog. Of course, that included Hu Yang. Is 150% that great? Then try 15%. These people who were hit in the head only then remembered that Full of Romance was the first domestic drama to premiere in Korea at the same time. Its opening in Korea was perfect. Even if South Korea's market is much smaller than China's, don't forget that South Korea's variety shows have always been at the forefront in China. Full House of Romance followed Autumn in My Heart in South Korea. Can Sea of Love compare to it? No matter how stubborn they were, the truth was the truth. It couldn't be erased. Hu Yang wanted to use the ratings to slap Lu Chen in the face, but Lu Chen slapped him in the face. Stop talking nonsense. If you have the guts, go abroad and compete with others. In fact, in view of the success of Autumn in My Heart, Shonen TV also intended to export Sea of Love to Korea through MBC TV, copying the former's route. However, negotiations weren't that easy to reach. MBC was much more conservative and xenophobic than KGS. If Shonen TV didn't pay enough, it would be difficult to realize this wish. And even if Sea of Love could be broadcast in Korea in the future, so what? Now they had completely lost to their opponents. Lu Chen's thank you blog post not only received a lot of forwarding and likes, but many industry peers also forwarded their congratulations. SPG's official V also posted photos of Full of Romance, playing on the big screens on the buildings in the bustling streets of Seoul. Many media outlets also used the method of news announcements to release the news of the success of Full of Romance in Korea on their respective websites. They speculated that this TV series should be able to set a new record for domestic dramas to be broadcast abroad. The impact of this was that many people had a strong interest in the TV series Full of Romance, and used the playback function of digital TVs to watch the first and second episodes of last night's premiere. And tonight, Full of Romance would continue to broadcast the third and fourth episodes. This couldn't help but start to guess what the result of the collision of the two TV series would be. Would Sea of Love be able to maintain its ratings advantage over Full of Romance? Everyone was looking forward to it. Chapter 398. On the evening of July 23rd, Full House of Romance continued to broadcast the third and fourth episodes on Zhidong and Beijing television. Shonen TV's Sea of Love aired the fifth and sixth episodes. The competition between the ratings of these two TV series has become the biggest hot spot on the domestic summer screen, and many film and television production companies and industry professionals have also paid great attention to it. Because whichever show wins the ratings is likely to bring about a wave in the industry. This phenomenon has existed on the domestic screen for many years, such as the original anti-Japanese drama, spy drama, idol drama, sitcom, etc., all of which became popular after a classic show, and then followed the trend to imitate it. Even if you can't eat fat meat, you can still get a few mouthfuls of soup to drink. The most important thing is that many investors like to invest in this kind of TV series. The risk is small, the return is high, and the profit is high. Before the premiere of Full House of Romance, in the eyes of many people in the industry, Lu Chen was not very smart. His first TV series, Autumn in My Heart, had already been a great success, but he didn't follow up with a second or third series. Instead, he changed his style and unknowingly abandoned many of the fans and audience of Autumn in My Heart, increasing the risk. Lu Chen's approach is obviously not mature enough. It is estimated that he became famous at a young age, and he has the support of several industry giants. Unexpectedly, he went against the powerful Shonen TV, which makes people sweat when they think about it. And the ratings of the premiere seem to prove Lu Chen's mistake. However, the 15.21% ratings of Full House of Romance in South Korea really scared everyone, making people lack the courage to complain. No one dared to point at Lu Chen again. Even if Full House of Romance is really a flop in China, it is still something to be proud of. What's more, Full House of Romance is not bad, but its light in China is temporarily overshadowed by its opponent. The battle between Full House of Romance and Sea of Love has just begun, and everyone is waiting to see who will laugh in the end. On the morning of July 24th, the official website of New Channel updated the domestic TV program ratings list on its homepage. As a result, the number of visitors to the website set a new record. It was not only the media and people in the film and television industry who clicked to visit New Channel's official website. There were also a large number of ordinary fans. This was because the ratings battle launched by Wave's blog had already affected them. Shonen TV's Sea of Love, the 5th episode's rating was 1.49%, the 6th episode's rating was 1.45%, the average rating of the 2 episodes was 1.47%, ranking first. The overall viewership ratings for the 3rd episode of Full House of Romance was 1.43% and the 4th episode was 1.47%. The average was 1.45%. Ranked second. The industry was in an uproar. Shonen TV's summer self-produced drama Sea of Love had invested a lot in publicity, and the premiere had seized the opportunity in advance. The first 2 episodes had been aired in the name of a trial broadcast a week ago, which was a good start. Riding on the momentum of the success of the premiere and the accumulated sense of anticipation from the audience, Sea of Love was broadcast for 3 consecutive days this weekend. It competed with Full House of Romance in the ratings, and won the first round beautifully. In everyone's view, the advantage of Sea of Love would definitely continue to be maintained for a period of time, and the decisive battle between the two sides should be in the middle. No one expected that the situation would change so dramatically overnight. The 4th episode of Sea of Love hit 1.5%, and the 5th and 6th episodes actually showed a downward trend. Although it maintained its first place with an average rating of 1.47%, even outsiders could see its decline, let alone the industry insiders. The ratings of a TV series were like a boat sailing against the current, not moving forward or backward. The ratings of the first half of the series were the most critical. Only by rushing all the way up could the average ratings be pulled up. Once it fell, it would be difficult to recover. The ratings of the 30 episodes of Sea of Love had only been broadcast for 4 episodes, and the ratings had dropped. Such a result was undoubtedly like a resounding slap in the face of Shonen TV. It was too embarrassing. Compared with Sea of Love, the ratings of Full House of Romance had improved significantly, directly pulling up to 1.47%. The latest single episode had actually surpassed its opponent, showing the momentum of soaring. Of course, it was too early to say that Full House of Romance had defeated Sea of Love. No one dared to say that Full House of Romance would not have the same decline in ratings as its opponent. But the possibility of this was really too small, because the growth of the ratings of Full House of Romance was achieved under the strong growth of Sea of Love, and vice versa. In the blog of Waves, the marketing pushers, video critics and fans of Sea of Love were speechless for a while. Hu Yang, who used to read 8 or 10 articles a day, was completely silent. He was too embarrassed to post another 1.45% blog post on his blog, right? It was not enough for others to laugh at. But Hu Yang and others shrank their heads, and Lu Chen's fans were proud. Lu Chen's studio and the official V of Full House of Romance had not said anything, but Lu Chen's fan group V could not wait to send out a congratulatory blog post. The title was very interesting. 1.47%. It was a complete imitation, a real slap in the face. And in a strange silence and noise that is on Sunday night, the 5th and 6th episodes of Full House of Romance were broadcast, and the 7th and 8th episodes of Sea of Love were broadcast. On Monday morning, the official website of New Video was updated again. The overall rating of the 5th episode of Full House of Romance was 1.67%, the 6th episode was 1.75%, and the average was 1.71%. Ranked first, Sea of Love was unable to reverse the decline, and the ratings of the 7th and 8th episodes fell again 1.42% and 1.40% respectively, ranking second with an average of 1.41%. It was not terrible to be one step behind, but terrible to be behind step by step and unable to recover. Full House of Romance surpassed Sea of Love in average ratings by 0.3%, proudly and confidently stood at the top of the domestic TV ratings of the same period, and rushed to the third place among all TV shows full of momentum. In just 3 days, the second TV series written and starring by Lu Qin, in the face of a strong opponent, from falling behind to catching up and successfully surpassing, completed an incredible and gorgeous counterattack. And anyone could see that the average 1.61% was far from the end of the ratings of Full House of Romance. As the plot of the TV series deepened and the reputation fermented, it was not a dream to realize Lu Chen's bold claim of breaking 4 out of 3. Such a result made Shonen TV's publicity on Sea of Love completely muted. Many people in the industry were completely confused. They did not understand why such a situation happened. They had expected a long and fierce battle, but Full House of Romance neatly cut down its opponent. Why did this happen? Chapter 399. Why is that? Wan Xiaoquan took a sip of fragrant tea and said in a deep voice, because now the audience is tired of the kind of TV series that follow the trend. The audience's appreciation level is improving, and the requirements for movies and TV series are also improving. So the film and television production companies that are not enterprising and only want to take advantage of the situation will not be able to survive sooner or later. They can't always rely on clumsy plagiarism and shoddy plots to deceive the audience. Without novel creativity and unique ideas, it is inevitable that the audience will abandon it. In my opinion, Sea of Love is a TV series with beautiful packaging and powerful advertising, but the content is terrible. It is no different from the previous self-made TV series of Shonen TV. However, they ignore a very important point, that is, the TV audience has matured. To be honest, I was surprised that the ratings of Sea of Love didn't drop until the 5th or 6th episode. In my opinion, there is no need to watch the first 2 episodes of this TV series. It's enough to watch Autumn in My Heart. Why chew the cold rice again? Listening to his complaints, everyone present showed a knowing smile. July was the hottest season in Beijing, but in the elegant room of Yumming Tea Garden, there was no need to turn on the air conditioner. The cool breeze blew into the room from the open window, making people feel naturally relaxed and happy. A pot of good tea, a few snacks, and 3 or 5 friends sitting and talking were enough to easily pass the afternoon. Wan Xiaoquan looked a little excited. He put down the teacup and stared at Lu Qin sitting opposite him. His eyes showed a look of admiration. In contrast, the story of Full of Romance is much more interesting. It is warm, romantic, and humorous, giving the audience a full sense of novelty. The good thing about this TV series is that the screenwriter can tell the story. It is inevitable that the ratings will surpass Sea of Love, and it will be higher. A middle-aged man at the table smiled and said, "Old Wan, I didn't expect you to study TV series now." Although it was a joke, there was no malice because he was an old friend of Wan Xiaoquan's for many years. Today's party was initiated by Wan Xiaoquan. He invited several friends in the circle and Lu Qin. It just so happened that Lu Qin was able to find some time to participate in this tea party in this small circle. Wan Xiaoquan is a student of director Zhang Wentian and one of the well-known representatives of the 5th generation of directors in the industry. He is a very talented person and deeply appreciated by Zhang Wentian. As the saying goes, one's personality determines one's fate. Wan Xiaoquan had a very bad temper. 2 years ago he was sent to prison for injuring someone in a conflict. He had just been released from prison a few months ago. Nowadays Wan Xiaoquan was basically living in seclusion. Because of the relevant regulations of the State Administration of Radio, Film and Television, no film company or investors asked him to film, and his life was very poor. As for his friends, there were only a few of them left in front of him. After experiencing this unforeseen event, Wan Xiaoquan's temper had obviously changed. He was no longer violent and irritable, but had become tolerant and calm. If his friends had played such a joke on him in the past, he would definitely have been angry, but now he just laughed it off. I'm bored, so I watch TV at home every day. Wan Xiaoquan said in a self-deprecating manner, I was thinking that since I can't act in movies in the future, I might as well try acting in television. His friends fell silent. Although Wan Xiaoquan had a bad temper in the past, he was full of confidence and pride as well as the desire to create. Right now, there was always a lingering sense of decadence that he could not get rid of. In the past, Wan Xiaoquan disdained TV dramas. In his opinion, movies were the real art. Now he was sitting at home watching TV. The contrast was too sharp, making people feel sad. Lu Qin keenly felt the change in the atmosphere in the elegant room. He calmly opened the briefcase he brought with him, took out a thick stack of manuscript paper, and handed it to Wan Xiaoquan. Wan Xiaoquan was suddenly stunned. This is. Lu Qin said with a smile, this is a movie script I wrote. I want to ask Teacher Wan for some advice. Wan Xiaoquan was surprised. Then I have to take a good look. He solemnly took the script with both hands, and his eyes couldn't help but fall on the front page of the script. The title of the script was very eye-catching. A Chinese Ghost Story. Wan Xiaoquan's heart couldn't help but jump. He couldn't help but turn to the first page and read the introduction of the script carefully. The introduction on the second page had 300 to 400 words, and it took him a full 5 minutes to finish reading it. After reading the outline of the story, Wan Xiaoquan let out a long breath. This is Nie Xiaoqian from Strange Stories from a Chinese Studio. Lu Qin said with a smile, yes, my script is based on Nie Xiaoqian. Wan Xiaoquan felt a little confused. You want to make a movie? Lu Qin nodded, yes. There was nothing to avoid. The path he had set for himself in life was to walk the path of film, television, and singing. In the entertainment industry, movie actors were the most pretentious among all the artists. The idea of making a movie hadn't just appeared in Lu Qin's mind for a day or two. It could be said that he had it ever since he stepped into the industry, and he had already started planning. This script of A Chinese Ghost Story was written and sorted out by him in 5 days. There were about 40,000 words in total, and there were hundreds of pages printed. Since returning to Beijing after the national promotional tour of Full House of Romance, Lu Qin spent most of his time at home typing on the keyboard behind closed doors. In addition to writing The Smiling, Proud Wanderer, it was A Chinese Ghost Story. He was going to use this movie as his debut on the screen. It was just that there were only a few movie directors that Lu Qin knew. The most famous one, Zhang Wentian, had retired, so he thought of Wan Xiaoquan. It just so happened that Wan Xiaoquan invited him to tea, so he printed the script and brought it over. Wan Xiaoquan was good at period films and had shot The Legend of the White Snake. Lu Qin believed that with his directing skills, there should be no problem directing A Chinese Ghost Story. Wan Xiaoquan was not a fool. Although Lu Qin did not say it clearly, how could he not understand what Lu Qin meant? You don't want me to direct this movie, do you? Lu Qin said with a smile. If Teacher Wan can help, that would naturally be the best. Wan Xiaoquan said with a wry smile, it's not like you don't know my situation. He had been in prison for more than a year, but he had not paid the price for his impulsiveness that year. He would be banned in the industry for at least 2 years. How could he come out and be a director now? Although he was very tempted. Although Lu Qin is young, he is modest and knows how to respect his seniors. He is also a well-known artist and has opened his own studio. He is doing very well in the circle and has a strong market appeal. Tien, not bad. In other words, Lu Qin was a very good partner. Unfortunately, Wan Xiaoquan sighed low in his heart. Chapter 400. The more developed the entertainment industry was, the more scandals there were in the entertainment industry. The rise of the internet had allowed the interaction between people to reach an unprecedented level. Information that could only be obtained through television, radio, newspapers, and magazines in the past could now be obtained immediately through the internet. The internet had also allowed celebrities and idols to receive far more attention than before. But at the same time, the negative news of celebrities would also be magnified on the internet, easily triggering a frenzy of public opinion. The same rice fed all kinds of people. In this industry there were all kinds of people. As more and more people entered, negative news was constantly exposed, causing the public's negative impression of the entertainment industry to deepen. Drug abuse, prostitution, cheating, drunk driving, brawling. In recent years, these scandals had become frequent guests in the entertainment section of the media. They often appeared in the headlines, causing their social influence to continue to expand. Under such circumstances, the relevant departments of the country had no choice but to come up with corresponding rules and increase the punishment for celebrities who violated laws and regulations or morals. It was no longer the 3 glasses of wine punishment that they used to have. Wan Xiaoquan had been imprisoned for a year and a half for assaulting someone. Although his crime was pardonable, rules were rules. It was a law that everyone had to abide by. 2 years of imprisonment was already considered a lenient punishment. Therefore, Wan Xiaoquan could not make a movie in these 2 years. Even if he did, he could not be released or broadcast. Of course, no film production company or investors would look for him. The only way left for him was to either retire temporarily or find another job. In fact, the impact of such a ban was very far-reaching. It was better for a director like Wan Xiaoquan, but if it was an idle artist, 2 years was enough to completely push them into the abyss, unable to make a comeback. However, for Wan Xiaoquan, he could still support himself after sitting on the bench for 2 years. At least he would not starve to death. However, not being able to engage in a career that he liked and dedicated his life to was undoubtedly a great torment. Compared to 2 years ago, Wan Xiaoquan gave people the feeling that he had aged at least 10 years, and his sideburns had turned white. Therefore, when he saw the script of A Chinese Ghost Story that Lu Chen took out, Wan Xiaoquan was excited at first. He felt a warm current surging in his body, quickly spreading throughout his body, making him feel as if he had regained the vitality of life. However, when he thought of his own situation, it was as if a basin of ice water had been poured over his head, and he suddenly woke up. This feeling was really difficult to describe in words. The conflict in his heart made Wan Xiaoquan clench his fists. His knuckles turned white from clenching too hard. When Lu Chen saw this, he sighed in his heart. Of course, Lu Chen knew the trouble that Wan Xiaoquan was facing, but since he had taken out the script, he must have come prepared. "Mr. Wan, I would like to invite you to be my director in this movie." There were policies and countermeasures. Wan Xiaoquan couldn't be a director in name, but it was not a problem for him to be a consultant and guide. To put it bluntly, he was selling dog meat under a sheep's head to avoid the ban. However, in this way, even if the entire movie was directed by Wan Xiaoquan, his name would not appear in it. Whether it was in the publicity or in the subtitles, he was equivalent to an invisible person. This was undoubtedly a compromise. Lu Chen had only proposed it because he understood Wan Xiaoquan's situation. If the other party was addicted to drugs, then no matter how talented Wan Xiaoquan was, Lu Chen would only stay away from him. After all, it was risky for him to hire Wan Xiaoquan as a director. Wan Xiaoquan's eyes suddenly lit up. As an insider, how could he not understand what Lu Chen meant? This method was completely feasible. Although there was no direct honor as a director, what he needed most now was a job, not honor. Actually, at this time, the middle-aged man sitting next to him suddenly said, "I have a suggestion." Lu Chen quickly said, "Mr. Zhang, go ahead." This middle-aged man, surnamed Zhang, was a senior independent media person and one of Wan Xiaoquan's few friends. The middle-aged man said seriously, "Xiao Lu, if you want to invite Lao Wan to direct your movie, I suggest you take him to Xiangjiang." Lu Chen couldn't help but be stunned. "To Xiangjiang?" "Yes, to Xiangjiang." The man smiled and said, "You may not know, but at the beginning of the year, SRFT issued a new regulation. This new regulation was specifically aimed at the film industry of Xiangjiang, echoing with the film industry support plan of the Xiangjiang Special District Government, with the intention of helping to revitalize the film industry of Xiangjiang. The film industry of Xiangjiang was once very glorious in the 1980s and 1990s. After Xiangjiang returned to the motherland in 77 years, a large number of local films were able to be released in the huge mainland market. Urban films, comedies, ghost films, police films and so on deeply affected several generations of young people, and many film and television stars also emerged. There were even many third-rate romance films that flowed into the mainland and were played in places such as street video halls. However, this prosperity did not last for too long. Due to the serious homogeneity and the emergence of shoddy production, it was gradually abandoned by the audience. In addition, the vigorous development of the mainland film and television industry, Xiangjiang's film industry suffered a great impact and soon declined after entering the new century. Therefore, many practitioners went north to seek development, and the continuous loss of talent aggravated this decline. In the past 10 years, Xiangjiang's film industry has been seeking a breakthrough in difficulties, and there have been a few good films, but it was undoubtedly a fool's dream to restore the prosperity of the past. And Xiangjiang's filmmakers have also been calling for the support of the government. The new regulation of SARFT and the support plan of the Xiangjiang Special District Government were brewed under this background. Wan Xiaoquan's old friend further explained in detail, "You have no foundation in the film industry. Instead of choosing to compete with so many strong opponents in the capital, it is better to jump to Xiangjiang and start a new career, such as opening a film studio. The film industry support plan of the Xiangjiang government is not only effective for the locals. Any film production company registered in Xiangjiang can enjoy preferential and supportive policies, and can also participate in the local film market of Xiangjiang, and at the same time radiate to Taiwan, Japan and Southeast Asia. The most important thing is that, according to the new regulation of SARFT, movies produced in Xiangjiang can apply for approval and broadcast Green Channel. Once approved, then it can be released in the 3 major domestic cinemas and small and medium-sized cinemas at the same time. Just this point alone is completely worth going to Xiangjiang. Lu Chen's heart palpitated. Chapter 401. The domestic film industry was developing rapidly. As of 2015, apart from the 3 special administrative regions, there were more than 5,000 cinemas and 25,000 screens in the country. The annual box office reached 48 billion, accounting for 50% of the Asia-Pacific market, second only to the United States. In China, the 3 major cinemas, Wanlong, New Generation, and Meichen divided the main share of the film market. Wanlong owned more than 400 cinemas and was the well-deserved leader. The profits brought by operating the cinemas were quite amazing. According to the proportion of the domestic film box office, of the 100 yuan box office, 5 yuan had to be paid to the film fund, 5 yuan as tax, and the remaining 91. 5 yuan, 45 yuan for the cinemas, 15 yuan for the cinemas, and only 5 yuan for the producers and distributors. This meant that the cinemas with a large number of cinemas could share the most abundant profits. Not only that, with the expansion of the film market, the rich cinemas extended their tentacles to the forefront, forming a one-stop shooting, production, distribution and screening model, eating up all the meat from top to bottom. In such a situation, big and small film and television production companies were bound to be suppressed by the cinemas, and the competition between them was very fierce. As an independent artist, if Lu Chen wanted to squeeze into this market, it could be imagined how difficult it would be. Lu Chen had to rely on a powerful production company, establish a good cooperative relationship with the 3 major cinemas, and then share most of the benefits to get a foothold. And in the process, Lu Chen also had to look at other people's eyes. Of course, he didn't need to do this. With his current popularity, there was no problem for him to be the male lead in a certain movie. Participating in the shooting and producing and distributing were completely different things. And Lu Chen's ambition was obviously not satisfied with being the male lead in the movie. He wanted more. Wan Xiaochuan's friend saw this, so he made such a suggestion, to go to Xiangjiang. With the new regulations of the SARFT and the support plan of the Xiangjiang government, he could get a very good starting point without any historical burden, and with the Green Channel, it would be much easier to distribute in the country. Because even the 3 major cinemas had to bow down to the SARFT. In addition, the foundation of Xiangjiang's film and television industry was very good. There were many people in the industry, including directors, actors, cameramen, makeup artists, props artists and other film and television-related professionals. Xiangjiang had already formed a very mature operating system. Also, the salary of the local actors in Xiangjiang was generally lower than that in China. This was also one of the main reasons why many Xiangjiang actors liked to go to the mainland to film and appear on programs. Of course, there were also disadvantages to developing in Xiangjiang. That was, the culture and social atmosphere of Xiangjiang were quite different from that of the mainland. If one could not adapt to it, the loss would outweigh the gain. Finally, what Wan Xiaochuan's friend didn't say was that going to Xiangjiang to start a new life was the best choice for Wan Xiaoquan, because no one would care about his past there, and he could live a more relaxed life. All of these made Lu Chen really tempted. The benefits of going to Xiangjiang were obvious. As for how to integrate into the local people of Xiangjiang, it was not a big problem for Lu Chen. He could speak fluent Cantonese. Because Su Bo was a native of Cantonese, he could also sing Cantonese songs very well. There was no barrier in communicating with the people of Xiangjiang who mainly spoke Cantonese. Lu Chen thought for a moment and said to Wan Xiaoquan, "Teacher Wan, how about this? I'll register a movie studio in Xiangjiang first, and then you can go there first to help me support the stall and prepare for this movie?" It was impossible for Lu Chen to open a company to make a movie now. In fact, there was no prearrangement in his plan for this year. In the next half of the year, he would release a new album and hold his own solo concert. It had been nearly a year since the release of Lu Chen's debut album, You Who Sat Next to Me. Many fans were looking forward to his second album. In the past year, Lu Qin had also accumulated enough works, so there was no problem in releasing a new album. Most importantly, he now also had a high-end recording studio and a professional music team. If he didn't release a new album, when would he? After releasing the second album, he would hold a solo concert at the end of the year and push his singing career to a new peak, which was also in Lu Chen's plan. There had always been a popular saying in the pop music world, that is, a singer who has not held a special concert is not a real star. For example, Qin Fei had been in the industry for more than 10 years, and she had held countless concerts. If she hadn't been shooting with Lu Qin, she would have had a concert last year, which had been delayed until this year. It was also imperative to hold a concert, and it was certainly not enough. It was necessary to tour several major cities. With all these things, Lu Qin had no time to run to Xiangjiang to prepare a movie studio, and Lu Shi was also not free. But if he missed this opportunity, if there were any changes in the policy in the future, it would be too late to plot at that time. The so-called opportunity would not come again. In this way, asking Wan Shaoquan to come out of retirement was undoubtedly a very good choice. Let him go to Xiangjiang first, familiarize himself with the local situation, recruit useful talents and occupy the pit firmly. At that time it would be much easier for Lu Qin to go there. Treating people with sincerity, Lu Qin clearly told his thoughts to Wan Shaoquan. As for his choice, Lu Qin would respect it. Wan Shaoquan did not hesitate. Only after losing something would he know how to cherish it. This time he had the opportunity to go to Xiangjiang to start anew, which was an opportunity and a challenge for him. Maybe he would face all kinds of difficulties, but that was precisely the meaning of life. The most terrible thing was not the difficulties, but the slow decay in silence. As long as there were movies to shoot, Wan Shaoquan did not mind working for Lu Qin at all. Moreover, Lu Qin's attitude towards creation was not comparable to those who only wanted to make money. In his heart he was very grateful to Lu Qin. How could the icing on the cake compare to charcoal in snowy weather? It was just that Wan Shaoquan was an introverted person. He would not show his gratitude on his face all the time. He would use actual work and achievements to repay Lu Qin's investment. Just like that, the matter was settled. Of course, Wan Shaoquan could not leave immediately. Lu Qin still had to give him 1 or 2 reliable assistants. In addition, he had to prepare the funds for the establishment of the Xiangjiang studio. He needed to discuss and solve these with Lu Shi. And now the most important thing for Lu Qin was the hit Full House of Romance. On July 29th, the 7th and 8th episodes of Full House of Romance were broadcast. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.